Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Spaced Out Radio tonight. How y'all doing? Hope you had a great weekend as we kick off another great week of programming here tonight with a little Nde'S, a little Sasquatch and Cryptids. Nicholas Shaughnessy is going to join us from his home in Texas, and his dog is going to join us too. Dirty Filth will be here to lay down some great art for you guys, and we'll see where it all goes. Let's have some fun tonight, shall we? All right, let us say hello to everyone in the chat rooms tonight, because this is where we get things going. Holy cow, we have awesome Ann B with the gold medal tonight, defeating, I think that's twice in a row she's defeated the heavyweight race fan, taking home a silver. The gorgeous Kathy Hughes with a bronze medal tonight. Roy Boy, Awesome Ann Palmer, Hank the Dutchman, Jeffrey DeRue and Logan L is here. How you guys doing? Thank you for joining us. Margaret Oliver, good to see you. Dennis Zuniga, AZ Man, B More Dan is here. B More Dan is going to be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Kentucky Robert, nice to have you here. Black Dragon, how are you, my friend? One of the amazing veterans who listens to this show. We love our veterans around here. And we continue on with roll call. Let's see where we are. Mennonite Abe. Excuse me. Good to have you here, my friend. Les Paul Holland, how are you in Australia? Good to see you. Awesome Ann Palmer, thanks for coming on in. Matthew Kennedy, good to see you back, my friend. The gorgeous and talented Kira is back. She'll be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio for Kira, to the right of the studio. Dirty Filth, how you doing, buddy? And nice to see you in the chat room. Digger Dog, thanks for coming on in. And who else is here? Well, let's take a look. Holly, how you doing, man? Good to have you here. And there is lovely Lisa Compton. And who else do we have here? Sweet Donna C. Scotty Jensen. It's always a soft J with him. Scowling Greg O'Brien is back. Carfuni Bray, how you doing, buddy? Nice to have you here. As we, where am I here? I just got punted. I hate when this chat room does that. All right, here we go. Now I'm back on track. Alien Critter, Dizzy Blonde, welcome to SOR Chat. Space Cadet, nice to have you here. The lovely Rin is back. Good to see you. Joshua Godson, Aiden Build, welcome to SOR Chat. Mr. Lurks a Lot. Mazed Muse, welcome to SOR Chat. Beelzebrad, good to have you back, buddy. Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube right there. The gorgeous Avi May, thank you for joining us. Noble Patrick, how you doing? Strangeland and Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. He'll be with us tomorrow night for Duked Out Radio. Hey, there's Nate Foot. There he is. You know, if you wave at Nate, he always waves back. It's amazing. He's great that way. All right, let's continue on. By the way, Hallmark was looking very picturesque in his latest photos with that mustache, Nate. Very, very impressive. You should be happy for your son there. The gorgeous cryptid huntress, there she is. Hey, there's Bombshell Bomber. How are you? Nice to see you. Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Downshift, nice to have you here. Rob, I want to hear all about your trip, by the way. And Kenneth Schoen, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. And boom, gorgeous Bama. How are you? In the studio, thanks for coming on in. Henry X, or Henry the 10th, whatever you choose. Welcome to SOR chat. And I think the gorgeous Purpose and Grace. Nice to see you. And I think we're caught up. We got like 30 seconds here. Oh, look who it is. It's Chris. Teen, who's looking lovely tonight. And I think now we're caught up officially. Super Chat is open. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. Also is shopping at the Spaced Out Radio chat room website. Go shopping there. Here we go. Horns up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. All right, we got a great show for you tonight. We're going to get to Nde'S. We're going to get to Cryptids. Nicholas Shaughnessy is here from Texas. Then in hour number 3, we will be joined by the Swamp Dweller for another spooky story. Tim Senor steps in for the UFO report. Shirky Poo has the news. All right, let's get right to it, shall we? Nicholas Shaughnessy is an avid outdoorsman from Texas who spent the last 7 years hunting, hiking, and fishing in remote areas alone. After a strange string of encounters in 2020, he realized that there is more to this world than what we've been taught, which prompted him to start researching what goes bump in the night. After 2 years and many hours alone in the wilderness, he's seen and experienced many odd things he can't explain, even enough so to turn him from full-blown skeptic into a believer. And we're going to find out Nicholas's story here right now as Nicholas Shaughnessy. Our people in the chat room may recognize you. But here you are. Here you are as a guest tonight. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I am great. I'm going to get you to bring your microphone a little bit closer to your face, if you don't mind.
It's kind of
not
fixed.
The camera.
That better?
That's better. That's
better?
A little bit
Perfect.
better. So let's learn about you. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't bring a lot of 22-year-olds on this show who are getting into the weird and strange things that's going on. But you've had quite a run over the last couple of years. And I thought it was important that, this stuff is happening to young guys and gals such as yourself who are interested in the outdoors, interested in camping and learning more about the wilderness and getting out there. Have you always been a young man who has enjoyed heading outdoors?
Oh yeah, since I was a kid.
Dad took you camping and everything like that, or mom and dad take you out and or was it just you?
It's just me most of the time. My parents were never into camping. I had to teach myself how to fish, how to hunt, how to learn. I had to learn the outdoors on my own, so it's kind of my own little endeavor.
So what made you all of a sudden turn from a guy who doesn't grow up in that type of household where you're out in the forest all the time to get on out there and learn what's in this big, brave world?
I realized there was a area of woods near me. It's like 7,000 acres. I went out there just to explore a couple times. I thought, this is kind of cool. I enjoy this. And I just started going every day after school. So
Did you always have an interest in cryptids and in monsters, or was that further from your mind? Because I mean, I guess in Texas, where you're located, there's probably a lot of deer, a lot of hogs to go hunting, and there's never a shortage of game.
I was never really into cryptids per se. I'd watched Finding Bigfoot as a kid, but my dad or mom would come by and say, "Oh, that's not true," or this or that. Or one time we were gonna go on a or a camping trip to Colorado, which we never went on. I was like, "Dad, what about Bigfoot?" You know what I mean? So I remember I wasn't into it, but I always believed there was something out there. You know?
Interesting. So for you, I mean, how long have you been heading out into the wilderness, hunting and fishing on your own?
I started going probably 3 to 5 days a week when I was probably the end of my sophomore year of high school, all the way through the end of high school and even a couple of years afterwards. So probably 7 years now, out 6, 7 years.
Right. So for you, what when you're out there looking for stuff, what are you looking for? What's your game of choice?
I'm looking for what exactly?
Well, are you mainly out there going fishing? Are you mainly out there going out for a hunt on hogs? Or I guess I don't know how the hunting season works down there. Tell me about it.
Um, well, mostly was just hiking at first because I thought hiking's fun. Then I started getting into fishing a whole lot and then hunting a lot more here recently. But the hunting season's more so starts in about September when you do dove hunting, and you dove hunt until about October when bow season starts for deer, and then deer goes all the way through about January. But then you start duck hunting about December to the end of January, start of February, right? And then hogs are year round. So there's about a 6, 7 month period where there's not like any main hunting going on.
Have you got any hogs yourself yet?
I have not.
Oh, I want to get down there and do that so bad. It just seems
There's
like
plenty
fun.
of them.
You see, I go on YouTube all the time and I see those hog hunting tricks that you can take, like where you're in a chopper.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know why, but that just absolutely thrills me for some reason. That I've never been a hunter in my life, but I'm just thinking, man, that would be kind of cool to do. That would be very cool to do. So in your time here, that you have been, when did you start all of a sudden investing some time learning about cryptids?
It was after a weird night when I was camping with buddies up in the Washtenaw Mountains in southeast Oklahoma. We had something go on, and I was trying to research what we had heard, possibly what had happened, and everything kept going towards Bigfoot. So I started researching Bigfoot, started just watching little stuff here and there, and then it started getting more common. And I started going out to the woods, and things started happening here near me. And I guess I just got into kind of researching the topic pretty much.
Okay, so let's go back to that Oklahoma camping trip. Take us right from the beginning. I mean, you arrived there with your buddies. How many of there were you?
It was me and my two buddies, buddy Chris and my buddy Alden. It was right when COVID had started. We all got off work, and we thought they're going to pay us not to be at work, and everything's kind of lenient out. You don't have to be like at home, you know what I mean? So we thought, let's go up to the Ouachita Mountains and let's go camping, right? Paid camping trip. Why not?
So what happened?
So we've been just kind of driving around. We didn't see like anybody that whole trip. I mean, no, it was all kind of closed up, and COVID had just hit maybe a week or two before, so there wasn't a lot of people. So we just pulled off to the side of the road on one of these little. They had a lot of vista pullovers, these little hills and mountains that you just kind of drive around. Thought this looks like a good spot. Let's set up here, and got there at about 6-ish, 7 o'clock. Sun wasn't down yet. We had at least another hour or two of sunlight. Then we sat, made dinner. We had a rock ring that we had made to cook some stuff in to keep everything contained. we made dinner, sat down, chatted a little bit, and then maybe about 9 o'clock, it had been dark about an hour. We got in tent and fell asleep. So
your audio is breaking up just a little bit, and we're getting about every second word here. I don't know if you're plugged in hard drive or what have you, but maybe just move back from the computer a little bit. You were sounding much better when you were back a little bit. Let's try that out just to see if that kind of works. So it gets dark, and you guys are sitting around the campfire enjoying some chatter as you do start to plan your weekend. I mean, that's kind of what happens, and then nature gets you. One thing about nature is it always gets you tired real quick, that fresh air. That's one thing that I've noticed over the years. And, being such a night owl that I am, it drives me nuts that I am absolutely dead to the water, around like 8:30, 9 o'clock, where I'm like, around here, I'm getting ready for the radio show at that point. But for you guys, okay, you're sitting around your campground, you got your tent set up, the vehicle's probably, or the vehicle right by you there. Are there other animals in the area, like bears or any big game that would, kind of saunter through your area?
There is typical, pretty much just deer, and there's the occasional black bear. But that's so rare that, you don't really, there's locals that have lived there for years that have never seen a black bear in 10 years of living there. So it could be black bear. That's about it, big game wise.
Okay, so you said around 9 o'clock things started happening. What started happening?
Things started happening closer to like 10, 11 after we had been asleep for, like, not totally asleep, kind of just nodding off, that kind of camp sleep, kind of half awake, half asleep thing. It was about 11 o'clock-ish when it started getting weird.
But take us through that. I mean, yeah, I know what you're talking about by going, you go to bed, but you're never really asleep,
Yeah, just half asleep, half awake. It's just how camping goes most of the time. But about 11 o'clock, we had been woken up by the sound of like something getting knocked, like a baseball bat against a tree, and there was 3 of them. It was bam, bam, bam. We had heard that back to our back left down the hill. We're kind of on a weird, was a hillside. We're camping on a flat part, and then there's another hill down here, and we were sleeping with the hill to our back. So we had heard 3 tree knocks back there, and then probably for the next 3-4 hours, we heard them from different directions. The closest one being maybe 50 yards, like right in front of our tent. Very close, very close.
Really? Okay. So you hear the first set of 3 knocks. How far away were they from you? Did it wake everybody up in the tent?
It was probably 200, 300 yards to the back left down a hill, but it was so loud that we all woke up at the same time. Like, are y'all hearing this? And then we got my one buddy, Chris. He doesn't want to think it's anything. He goes, "Oh, it's just a woodpecker." Like, that's one heck of a woodpecker to be that loud, And then it was just three knocks. I don't know how many sets we heard exactly. Probably maybe 10 in the course of 2 hours. All different directions, though. Almost felt like we were being surrounded in a weird way.
So, I mean, you guys are all young. You're tough. You're ready for anything. I mean, you guys you're armed. You guys are doing your thing. I mean, at first, what was going through your mind when you heard this? Did you think it was people?
Not really. I mean, by the sound of how loud it was, I thought it's kind of weird, and it just didn't seem person-like. I don't know. It just didn't seem like a person could be out there making that kind of noise, personally. Thought it's something, but I'm like the woodsman of the group, you know what I mean? Like, hey, Nick, what is that? Heck if I know, right? We had no idea.
Okay, so here you are, 3 young men a long ways away from home, having a weekend camping trip that you're getting paid for because of COVID and everybody's off work at that time. And now you start hearing this. How long was it between the first set of 3 wood knocks that you heard and the next ones that started?
Probably about 10, 15 minutes between the first 2. And then it spaced out another 20, 30. It was about every 15 to 30 minutes for the course of probably 2-3 hours, maybe a little more, give or take. I mean, not really like keeping time exactly. But yeah, probably about 15 to 30 minutes between each set of tree knocks.
Was there any other types of noises or rustling in the bushes that you heard from this creature or creatures?
We had heard something moving around back under the hill, and we knocked it up. We heard something moving around in the brush. We thought maybe just like a deer or something walking around, but it wasn't like clearly bipedal like I've heard since. We couldn't make it out 100%.
Okay, so here you are. You got something in the forest. You're hearing, what could be footsteps, what could be, something big rustling through the forest. I mean, for people who have never heard that before, it's intimidating. It makes you feel really, really small very fast.
Yeah.
Was that kind of what you guys were going through?
Yeah, and just there was weird feelings the moment we got there too. I guess the feeling of just kind of being watched was already lingering. I remember when we were sitting there, I had my back to the hill where we heard most of our tree knocks was back down the hill. My buddies were both sitting in front of me next to each other. I kept looking back every like 10 minutes for some reason. Like there's something back there, like staring at us. That's what it felt like even before we went into the tent. So just a weird feeling the whole time.
Okay, so if you're getting that feeling like you're being watched, why stay there? Why even get into that tent, man?
Dumb and young and dumb. You know what I mean? We thought we're the big tough young guys, and we're getting a feeling of being watched. It could be anything. Maybe there's a deer watching us. I mean, 3 of us together, we thought we're invincible, right? But since then, I know it's not a good idea to stay when you're feeling watched. Yeah.
Okay, so you get the feeling that you're being watched. You now hear tree knocks, something rustling through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And then every 15 minutes, you're getting more tree knocks, but from different areas. Were those tree knocks getting closer?
They got progressively closer until we heard the closest one like right in front of the tent. I mean, it was loud, very loud, probably maybe 50 yards. Very close in the grand scheme of distances in the woods, right? But they did get closer progressively throughout the night.
You say they. Do you think it was more than one?
It had to have been. There's no way something could have covered that amount of distance in the time between. I mean, the distance is just it. There's no way it could have just been one anything, in my opinion. I mean, we all thought there's multiple of something, almost like counting us, Definitely more than one.
Now, after you guys, were awakened by this, this wood knocking, did you get out of the tent and get by the fire where you had more light, or did you turn your headlights on? Did you turn flashlights on?
No, we pretty much sat in there trembling like a leaf for maybe an hour or two. We didn't get out of the tent till something really odd happened at about 3 in the morning. Till after 3 in the morning, my buddy, the tree knocks had like kind of subsided for maybe 20 minutes. And we thought, oh, okay, that's done. And my buddy like jumped up, threw up for no reason at 3 something in the morning. And he got really sick. I mean, he jumped out of bed, threw up everywhere, and he was sick for like the next 2-3 days. So I thought possibly now I think probably got hit by some infrasound or something of that sort, right? That was really weird.
And you guys had all eaten the same stuff too.
Same food. So like everything we consumed was all the same everything. So it was kind of
and if I'm right, If I'm right, that's probably hot dogs, potato chips, and marshmallows.
Yeah, little bacon and beans, that kind of food, you know.
Camping food. Camping food.
Exactly. Camping food.
Yeah,
We
you
all eat
never
the
go
same
wrong.
thing.
And both of you guys, the other two were just fine. You and your other buddy.
Oh yeah, nothing happened to us. It was just him for some reason. I don't know
Okay,
why.
so what do you think? What do you think was going on in your buddies' minds at this time?
I think my buddy Alden said he had felt like something was off. He's more like he thinks something was going on out of the ordinary. My buddy Chris just wanted to keep just a woodpecker, go back to sleep. I think he was just scared as can be and didn't want to project anything. Maybe I have no idea, but buddy Alden, he was pretty first. You know, he had thrown up and all that. He knew something was going up, and then my buddy Chris just wanted to keep saying, "Oh, it's something, you know, out of sight, out of mind type thing." Right? I thought it was something weird.
So, at what point did you start thinking it was something weird?
I mean, when we've heard it for the first time, I mean, just hearing tree knocks for the first time after. I mean, I've been going to the woods for 4 or 5 years alone at this point. I had heard something like it never stood out. Maybe I've heard something like that, but that could be anything, right? But to hear it so clearly all around you so many times, it just didn't make a lot of sense.
Talk about the fear that you guys started having as these wood knocks got closer. I mean, leading up to your buddy getting ill. I mean, I've never been in that situation. Very few people have. You know, what's that like feeling completely trapped in a tent when you know that something and you don't know what it is, could be humans, could be Sasquatch, could be anything, is lurking around you that close?
I mean, terrifying. You think you're the toughest thing in the world, in the woods, whatever, and you're gonna get humbled pretty quick. It's a different kind of fear than anything else I've felt. There's some sort of primal fear when these types of things happen for some reason. So very scared. Just I don't know how else to explain it other than a primal fear of something that is like built into you.
Do you think once that creature was at that 50 yards that it was getting closer to inspection? Did
I
you
believe
hear
it
it around?
actually got. I don't remember hearing anything exactly like around the tent, but then it also had started raining quite heavily after that point. At about 3:30, 4 in the morning, it had rained heavy to the point where, you know, the sound of rain hitting on a tent and you being inside, you can't hear much. But we had something very odd when we woke up the next morning where the rock ring that we had cooked over, probably like right to the tent, 10 yards, you know, you could walk a couple steps and get it. And there was 3 rocks missing from our rock ring, and the 3 rocks had been placed in the center of the ring. It was kind of like in a position that we were sleeping in our tent. So I believe something got a little closer than 50 yards.
Holy cow. That's a little
right
creepy. And the
Very
fire
creepy.
was going, and the fire was going
out.
at this time?
Fire was out. Between us, we put it out before we gone to bed, and then also between the rain, that had put everything totally out. Right.
All right, Nicholas, so we're going to get you to continue. We're going to try and work on your audio here as well during the break. Nicholas Shaughnessy is here from Texas, getting close encounter Sasquatch here on Spaced Out Radio as we continue on with a power show again tonight, Cryptids. And then later on, we'll get into his near-death experience. Nicholas Shaughnessy returns on Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, you want to talk again?
All right. So what's going on exactly? Because you're kind of juddering around on my screen a little. I don't know. Maybe I should try reloading the page.
Yeah. What are you on Google Chrome?
I am on Google Chrome.
Weird. Okay, so let's. What I would do is I'm going to boot you out of the studio. I want you to reload it. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, let's try that. See if we can get a better connection here. And for our audience, this is his first time giving an interview about stuff like this, so he's a little nervous. And you know what? But he's got a good story, man. He's got a good story. We'll get it out of him. I promise you. We'll get it out of him. Hi, Dirty Filth.
I mute myself.
All right, let's see how you are. You want to talk, Nicholas?
Alrighty. Sound a little better?
Yeah. So far, so good.
All right, you're a lot better on my screen too.
Okay, good. Good. All right. Little nervous coming on the show like that or what, eh?
Yeah, maybe a little. No.
Your hair's
new,
looking,
you know what I mean?
Your hair's looking good, though. That's the main thing.
Thank y'all. Got an awesome shirt, too. Sasquatch in the USA.
All right. So what I want you to do for me, buddy, if you don't mind, just try and go into a little bit more detail with your answers, okay? You got a very impactful and powerful story, and the audience is here to hear your amazing story and messages. So just like I said to you right before the show, dude, just go right into tell me about the, like with the rain and everything, blocking the sound. That was perfect.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So just go into full detail. Let's just have a conversation like we're having a beer, dude. Don't worry about the audience. Just you and me, bro. All right.
I'll work on it.
Yeah. And Bomber wants to know what color underwear you were wearing that night. So, that's how personal she likes to get.
Holy cow. Heck if I know.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
So we got that filter on down here.
Let's see. Sean Zander, welcome to SOR chat, man. Look at Nate Foot. Nate Foot's a big fan of yours. If you were right beside him, he'd wave at you. He would.
What's up, Nate Foot?
Yeah, Nate
Trying
Foot's
my best.
killer, man. You're doing awesome. Just relax, and you and me, just concentrate on me, okay?
Gotcha. It's kind of hard with you were like juddering and all that beforehand, so I was trying to figure out where to focus.
Yeah, just focus on my lovely voice.
Gotcha.
Don't worry about the picture. Tell me the story.
Right.
Let's see. Where's your pup? Did she move?
Oh, she's right there. There she is. That way. There we go. Sadie. Hey.
She's passed
There
out,
she
man.
is.
She's
She's
like,
tired.
screw you. I'm in sleeping.
She is.
Look at that.
Got any questions?
Bad bombshell. I'm picturing you naked. Does that help your nerves? Bad. Blues and G. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, Blues and G music?
Mm-hmm.
Hello to everyone in chat. I can't do both at the same time, obviously. So, hello to everyone.
Look at Scott Jensen. Dude, I crawled out of my tent at dawn to take a leak and had one 20 feet or so staring at me peeing. Oh, my God. That must be the longest piss of your life.
I've had a similar one. I got zapped while taking a pee. There was something 30 yards to my right.
Save that one, man. All right, we got about 20 seconds here. Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support this show on a nightly basis. So we're still waiting for that to open up tonight. We also are reminding you that you can get some great SOR swag on our website, spacedoutradio.com, much like what Nicholas is wearing right now. Davy Jones Locker, how you doing? Penman, how you doing? And let's see, who else is here? Eddie Petch, good to see you, buddy. We got like 20 seconds here. Dirty Filth is cutting the cartoons up at the bottom of the screen, and that's why he's dirty right there. Hiya, hiya. There he goes. And we got like 5 seconds left here. So let's get this thing going again right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Nicholas Shaughnessy is here. He's an outdoorsman down in Texas. Aren't they all? He likes to go hunting for deer, for hogs, likes to go throw a line in the river, maybe catch some bass or some crappie or crawfish, or whatever hell you got down there. I'm kind of jealous. Even alligators, lots of alligators. I got to ask you, Nicholas, as we bring you back in, Nicholas Shaughnessy, what do you fish for down there?
All sorts of stuff. Largemouth bass, Guadalupe bass, white bass, crappie, catfish, gar, all sorts of stuff.
Alligator gar?
We have them, yeah. I caught a couple gar, not alligator.
I gotta get down there, man. I gotta get down there. I see that up here where I am. You have a couple of choices. You have about 14 different choices of trout. Okay, maybe not that many, but at least 5. We have freshwater burbot where I am. Then if you go down to the coast, there's the odd catfish around here, but if you go down to the coast, that's where all the salmon are running.
Gotcha.
So there's not as much variety up here. Not as much, The odd time you could get a creek or a stream that has some bluegill in it. We don't got a lot of variety around here. I want pike, man. I want bass. There is some lakes with smallmouth around here, no largemouth. I want to just grip it, catch one and grip it. Never got to do that, but we'll get into it. Nonetheless, we'll talk fishing another night because, that's a whole different conversation right there from hidden love of mine as well. But let's chat a little bit about, right before the break, you were telling us about this amazing first encounter was what you believe was Sasquatch in the forests of Oklahoma, where all of a sudden in the middle of the night, here you are, you and your 2 buddies, and you start hearing tree knocking at about 11 o'clock. And by 3:40 in the morning, the tree knocking is stopped. But when you wake up in the morning and you go outside the tent in your rock fire area where you place the rocks around on the ground to set a fire pit, 3 of big rocks are gone and they're now sitting in the middle. Were there any? Yeah. So let's go back to that incident there for a second, because you wake up, you don't know, you guys have barely slept all night because you don't know whether you're going to live or die at this point. Yeah. And daylight comes, so there's always a little bit more of a safety feeling in daylight. And when you walked out of that tent, you and your buddies, was there a sense of relief until you saw those rocks sitting in the fire pit?
Honestly, no. It was a very creepy morning. Very, like the fog throughout the woods. We had the rain all morning, and then the whole morning was just fogged where you couldn't see. So it was almost like creepier than we were sitting there without fog the night before. Very creepy morning. Bunch of fog all around you. Felt like a horror movie.
Oh, my God. This isn't getting any better, is it?
No, it did not get better. I remember the feeling when I had, walked over to the rock rings. We were going to make some coffee, but everything was so wet. Our firewood, we couldn't even get a fire going again. But seeing the rocks out of the fire ring kind of like gave me like a weird jolt of like, I don't like that. You know what I mean? It was very weird to see that.
Did you feel like you guys were still being watched at that point?
Not really. Not so much at that point. It seemed like it was really heavy beforehand, and then when we got up at 3 in the morning, so my buddy had thrown up, we all thought might as well go take a leak. You know, I thought we need to get paper towels. My buddy hiked about 50-ish yards to the car, and I was like, it's crazy for him to go walk into the dark woods to the car to go get something to clean up with, especially after all that had gone over. But he was like out of it, he said. He didn't even think about what had gone on. He felt so sick to his stomach.
Okay, and we're going to get into this whole zapping thing a little bit later on, and we'll bring that up a little bit later. But did you guys at that point, it's raining, it's dreary, it's foggy, something kept you guys up all night, moving stuff in your fire pit? At that point, do you look at it and just say, let's get out of here, let's just go home, or did you continue camping?
We ended up just leaving right there and going home. We thought it's just how it was. And my buddy had gotten so sick, we kind of got worried about him. I mean, it's only a 4-hour drive from where we all live. And he was throwing up. We had to stop 5 or 6 times during that drive for him to throw up, to the point he was throwing up out of the back window of the car. So we ended up leaving mostly because he was feeling so sick to his stomach. It's really bad.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, it's not a good way. I mean, at any time while you were going through this, and your buddy getting sick for no reason, and hearing anything, when you decided to leave, did the pressure of the area seem to dissipate?
Yes, once we started driving down, it's kind of like little mountains. I mean, I guess we call them hills where you guys are, but it all kind of went away once we had started driving. Once we got out of the fog, I guess we were high enough up that the fog dissipated once we got down the mountain. Once we got down maybe 2,000 feet from the top, we'd been camping basically by the top. And once we got out of the fog, so I mean, you're driving and you can't see 3 car lanes in front of you because how thick the fog was. So once we got out of that, everything seemed to subside, and it felt normal again for the first time.
After that experience that you had with these this creature or creatures, whatever it may be, how long was it before you decided to hit the woods again?
Next week. I
Just
thought
no stopping.
Something. It wasn't going to stop me. I mean, I thought it's a one-off thing, right? You go to the woods, something weird happens to you, then you go back 4 hours down south, and everything should be normal again. Well, that's not how it works when I guess you have a very close encounter of this sort. So,
so going back to this first one, you get back home. At what point do you start thinking, I think we had an encounter with Sasquatch?
Probably about 2-3 weeks afterwards. I had kind of done some research, kept looking up 3, like the sound of something beating on a tree 3 times. After researching that enough times, it all kept circling around to Sasquatch, right? And then I got interested in the subject and thought, maybe that's what that could have been. Maybe we had a Sasquatch experience, us 3, that was really interesting. And then I just started researching the topic quite heavily. And I got really interested and went down the rabbit hole, as they would say, where you end up having more questions than answers.
Oh, I think we've all been there. So as you started finding out more evidence about Sasquatch, whether it was on YouTube or books, however you did it, did you at some point start getting a little bit of the chills, like, wow, this is what we experienced. This is something that. Take me through that.
It was kind of weird because I kept trying to find other things that it could have been, like the sound of the woods, three something. I just kept researching everything I could but that, to like not think it could be that, because I thought there's no way, right? And it all just kept going back to Bigfoot. So it's kind of creepy to think, because now I had to accept the fact that these things might be real, and they might have been a lot closer to home than I thought.
So what was the one piece of evidence that you were like conclusively, this is it? That was Sasquatch around us.
Tree knocks. I had done research on YouTube and I listened to videos of tree knocks, and it was like a light bulb in my head. And that's what we had heard. We had heard what people referred to as tree knocks when we were out there camping, and we heard multiple sets. Every time it was 3 tree knocks, which that could be something in itself, and just kind of sent the chill down my spine, because I guess these things are real and they're not just up in the Pacific Northwest like I had thought.
Now, did you check around for reports of Sasquatch in that area previously to your encounter?
Not before. I had no interest in the phenomenon before this. I had believed there was something throughout my childhood, but I had never actually believed like they're as prevalent as I believe they are now. So I'd never researched anything in this subject before this. I did afterwards.
But afterwards, what did you find out about that area?
Realized Atoka County is one of the most visual sightings in pretty much the whole state of Oklahoma. Southeast Oklahoma is crawling with these things. And with the exact area we had camped at, there is 3 or 4 encounters within maybe a 1 square mile radius. So I realized we weren't the only ones having these types of things going on down there,
So did you immediately become a monster hunter at that point because of that close encounter?
Not really. I didn't start researching until I had started. There was this area near me where I'd always gone fishing and hiking and never had problems. And then all of a sudden, weird things started happening there out of the blue right after this Oklahoma trip. So I thought I need to research.
Take us through what happened there. You get back in the wilderness. You're a hiker. You're a hunter. You're always looking. I mean, if you're like me, you're always looking for that hidden special fishing hole. Yeah. So take us through that next experience.
Next experience would have been probably a month afterwards at what I call the 377 spot. This is the place where I had gone fishing. It's one of the best fishing creeks near me, and it's parcels of land, corpse of engineered land that is super thick with no trails. So it's like an outdoorsman's dream. You're not running into anyone. You can go hike 10, 20 miles, and you're not going to run into a single person. So I started going out there fishing, and I started hearing tree knocks and that feeling of being watched multiple times within probably a month of the Oklahoma experience.
Wow. All right. So it's a month later after this incident. You now kind of know what you're listening for and looking for, even though you're going in there, for something completely different. Something completely different. How long was it? How long were you at the forest, back in the forest for your hike before you started hearing things?
Probably 2 weeks afterwards. I'd taken maybe a week or 2 off just to let everything settle down because it was kind of creepy. And I thought, all right, I'm not going to let this stop me from enjoying one of my favorite things in the world, right? And for some reason, things started happening, about a month afterwards in that area that I'd never had problems.
All right, take us through that area. Where do you usually go hiking? What does it look like?
So there's a big creek on the backside of a lot of the lakes, right? So kind of split into portions. It's about 1,000, 2,000 acres out more near the city and on the lake itself. Then there's a buffer area that's probably about 3,000 acres in between that and the highway 377. Then on the backside of 377, there's no trails, no anything. and some of the thickest woods nearby. And that's probably about 3,000 acres. And I usually follow the creek. I go to the trailhead on the middle area, and then I hike down and go under the bridge. I call it the bridge. That's where it's like a barrier almost. Once you break the barrier of the bridge and the railroad, things get weird back in there for some reason. So I'd gone back there to just fish like I normally do. Thought, well, let's kind of push the limits a little. So I ended up staying kind of close, maybe only hiking 2 miles. And I thought, I mean, as any outdoorsman does, you don't just hike 2 miles, maybe the first time to explore the area. But I'm always like, what's around that corner, right? So I kept pushing deeper and deeper and deeper. Then everything starts getting weird when I make it to this rock face that I like sitting and fishing on. And that's probably 3 miles in. This is no trails, so it's kind of thick to get back there. You got to cross a couple little creeks, but that was where things really started getting weird. It was back about 3-ish miles away from the trailhead on this rock face.
So take us what you're going through. Take us through this whole event.
I mean, it wasn't really a whole event the first time. I had heard some weird like noises, like tree knocks, whistling, and the feeling of being watched the first time. So I just kept fishing like nothing happened, and then I'd get up when the sun started going down. I never had problems, at least for the first month. But I kept going there probably 2 or 3 times a week for probably another 6 months, and things progressively started getting closer to home, closer to me when I was there.
Okay, so what started happening?
I started hearing a lot of tree knocks. It'd be like the moment I'd break the barrier, I'd hear a tree knock. I guess some sort of communication of like, oh, he's here, right? And I guess whatever it is back there, it started to know who I am because of frequency, and there's no one else back there, which now I know why people don't go back there. But I found footprints, found 2 footprints back there, and they're kind of weird because they're just one footprint in the bank, which makes no sense to me, right? Started finding singular footprints, hearing, I call it the 200-pound owl, whoops, that kind of stuff. That's when I knew I was kind of probably in an area where these things were nearby, watching me the whole time.
There is a lot of Sasquatch researchers who believe that when you start setting up patterns of walking the same trail, the Sasquatch, capture your scent, that they like repetition. They like the idea of everything being the same. And I've heard this from some really brilliant people like Duke Sullivan and Nate Rudd and Carter Bouchard and Bigfoot Rob, that when you're doing everything the same, it seems to attract them more because they're getting used to you. Was that how it kind of felt?
Pretty much. It started getting closer over time. It wasn't like my first experience, they kept, maybe 200-300 yards between us. Got to the point where I started hearing things like right behind me. Like, it started getting from 300 yards, and then it'd be closer the next time after a week or two of going. Next thing you know, it'd be 200, 100 yards right there near me. So probably over the course of 2 months, things started getting, I guess they got comfortable with me and started realizing this guy ain't that bad, right?
Right. How are you feeling when all of this is going on?
Scared the living crap out of me for a while because I could understand the tree knocks. I was quite intrigued, but once things started walking really close to me, especially when I'm there fishing at night by myself, that bipedal walking 20, 30 yards away from you when you're not even sleeping in a tent, that will scare the crap out of you. And I've only had that happen once or twice, and I'm not a fan of it. To say that much.
Okay. So for everybody listening right now, I'm pretty sure that everybody's like, what the hell are you doing in the middle of the night going fishing into a wooded area where there's wild animals? Are you armed at this time for protection?
Yes. I always go to the woods armed with something. It's usually a small 357 Magnum revolver, but that's more so for animals and people. Peace of mind.
So how do you know at this point it isn't some wild person who's gone off the grid?
I thought I would have seen them by now. If there's some wild person off the grid, I assumed I would have saw them by now. And the biggest giveaway was the size of whatever it was walking near me. I mean, it's not just like you hear bipedal walking and it's a person walking by the woods. I mean, this is some loud, almost like you can feel it through the ground. It's hard to think that's a wild person, right?
So at the closest point, you said this thing got about 30 yards away from you, and it's walking with you, not trying to catch up or anything like that, correct?
Well, the first time I'd heard the walking, it was more of I was sleeping out there alone up on the top of where this I like fishing at, right? I was sleeping under a tarp on a little foam pad. This was more of just something walking by, just walked by me and then deeper into the woods, probably 20, 30 yards away, right there. But I've had a couple times afterwards where something it's not like it follows me. It just like goes with me. That makes sense? Something walks with me. It's always like, it's not right next to me, but it's kind of like to the back left at a 45-degree angle-ish, maybe 40, 50 yards away. Not close enough to where I can see it, but there's something walking with me until I make it under the railroad, back towards the trailhead. That started happening somewhat consistently.
Okay, I gotta ask, did you start talking to it?
I mean, not like intentionally trying to talk like, hey, Bigfoot in the woods. It was more just like, hello, like, what you doing? Like, I'm trying not to think that it's a Bigfoot. I'm more just talking like, if it is anything, like just letting it know, like, hey, I know you're there, right? But not trying to have a conversation with it by any means.
Did it ever respond?
Not like English, not like, but I've heard like, ooh, like it's a really weird. I've heard this a couple times there where it's like some weird chatter of some sort where it's like, ooh, what? Ooh. It's I don't know how to explain it, but something trying to communicate, but it doesn't speak like a language I would understand. If that makes sense. And I've had buddies hear it there too, but it's never responded in words I can understand.
Wow. That just gave me complete goosebumps right there. As we got about 45 seconds before we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Nicholas Shaughnessy is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. And for you, I want to hear more, man. I'm curious. I mean, you have this thing. You have the dream spot right now, to be honest, where you're getting to, like, is it happening every time you're out there?
Not every time. It's a 50-50 chance. It's pretty good odds.
Incredible. We're going to learn more from Nicholas when we return on Spaced Out Radio as we talk Sasquatch. And then at the bottom of the next half hour, we're going to get to his near-death experience in that final half hour with Nicholas as well, because, I mean, this is a kid who is experiencing a lot for just 22 years old. I mean, he's barely into the beer scene. Never mind Sasquatch. Barely into the beer scene. And he's having all this stuff happen. We're going to learn more when we return on Spaced Out Radio. We'll take some of your questions as well if you're in one of our chat rooms. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, Dirty Filth, you got the screen. Nicholas, I'll be right back. I'm just going to mute you, okay?
All right.
Oh, yeah, it looks like we're doing a Mongolian death worm and some other stuff today here. They didn't mute me. One second, I need more color. My tray is devoid of what I require at this moment. And hello, everybody in the chat room. That I sort of moved my computer to the side so I can see, but I'm still not looking at it. I apologize. I'm trying to get the right color for the Kentucky Goblin. For my specific version of the Kentucky Goblin, to be more precise. It's not working so far. That's all right. We'll work through it. Someday somebody will get this. Oh, there's whiskey breath. Yeah. Yeah, I should put grumpy tonight. Yeah. Well, I hope everybody else is enjoying the night. Here's Brown Dwarf and Bomber. Hi, Brown Dwarf and Bomber. Hi, Chris Time. Oh, I didn't do the Dave thing. I apologize. Go away, whiskey. I've got very important business to take care of. Apologize for my cat. The Kentucky Goblin's getting a little bit of purple in his near future background. So they should have some music playing too. You know what? I can play music because I got my headphones on. You guys can't hear it, so score for me. So in other news, I ate one payday the other day. I gave one to Mrs. Filth. But I bought two. You can't get them in Canada very often. So every time I see them, I just buy the whole box. There was only 3 left, and I gave one to my other friend because I'm generous like that. Everybody should get a chance to eat payday at one point in time in their life. Oh no. I just ruined it for Dave. YouTube's going to shut him down for me talking about it. Sorry, Dave. Ruined the night. Alrighty, a little bit more purple in there. I cleaned up the art room bit, so I don't know where my fancy purple is. It's somewhere. I don't got time to look for it. So we're just using the old trusty. Yeah, if I was Nicholas, I'd just be sweating to death right now. It takes some guts to go up there and tell people about things that you probably don't tell most people about. So huge respect to that. I'm sweating to death just drawing cartoons and nobody can even see me and I have nothing to say, really. So I could imagine having to put up an entire show and okay. Background's good enough. I'll have a little more purple later. By the way, if I've never mentioned it, I keep spinning the page because it's just easier for me to paint that way instead of trying to get it into small edges. It's just the way she goes. The Kentucky Goblin's going to have the magical yellow eyes to match the stars. Because why not? At this point, I've just been drawing the Kentucky Goblin in my own style for so long, it's probably inaccurate. So if you're ever interested what a Kentucky Goblin is, you'll just have to search it up somewhere.
We got 30 seconds left. Sorry about that.
Why did you fart?
No, I wish. EMF, you're unbelievable. Oh!
Unbelievable.
Simon, thank you so much for that super chat, along with D. Cohen. Really do appreciate that. And we're going to get going here in about 20 seconds.
Excellent. I'm going to mute myself, Dave.
All right, you mute yourself. Bruce, how you doing, buddy?
I'm going to harass the cats.
Good to have you back. And we're going to get going here in 10 seconds, guys. Hi, stunning Jessica S.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Valakula. Valakula is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Nicholas Shaughnessy, young man out of Texas who's had some incredible Sasquatch experiences. And we're going to continue with this conversation tonight because this is a guy who goes hunting, hiking, fishing in the middle of the night, goes, finds his spot in the middle of the forest until Sasquatch comes around and starts hanging out with him. They have a party, sing some music. Sasquatch plays guitar, brings the beef jerky. You know how it goes. Nicholas, welcome back.
Good to be here.
All right, man. I got to talk to you about this, man, because, for our listeners just tuning in, I mean, going out in the wilderness alone, there's always a big danger around that. I mean, you don't have the big animals like we do around here in British Columbia, but you got a lot of stuff that could kill you there. You got a lot of snakes. You got, the hogs aren't very friendly. I mean, you got a lot of stuff there. Why do you go out alone?
Most people that I know are a little too scared to go camping out in the woods in remote areas with me. So I was never really one to be scared of the woods alone. I mean, most of the time I've been in the woods has always been alone. So to me, it's like, it's not crazy to me, but to other people, I can understand how it seems a little weird, but just how I roll. I don't know.
Outside of the Sasquatch, have you had close encounters with wild game?
Oh, yeah. I've had plenty of things go. Hogs seem to be the biggest problem. They've been charged by hogs 2 or 3 times. That'll get your heart rate going. I've been surrounded by coyotes once, and they followed me out of the woods, howling and stuff, yipping, right? I was walking down a power line, and a mountain lion walked 20, 30 yards right in front of me, stopped, looked at me, and then just walked on nonchalantly. So I've had some pretty weird animal encounters, too. It's 1 in a million, though. But if you spend enough time in the woods, you start having encounters that most people wouldn't. I mean, I'm spending 2-3 days out there alone at a time sometimes. So things happen.
Okay, so getting back to this area where you're having constant, I'm going to call it communication, even though there's not really any talking going on, but this communication with Sasquatch, do you feel it's the same creature every time?
I have a feeling it's not just one. I think it's a group of anywhere from like minimum three, probably 3 to 4, maybe 3, 4, or 5, something like that. A smaller group, because I found small footprints. A footprint, rather. One of the footprints I found was really small. Then I found another one that's pretty big, and I found one that's like a lot bigger. So I think there's at least 3 of them just from the foot sizes I've found. But I think there's more than that. They were 3 to 5 probably.
So, do you think that they have an interest in you as well, or are they just investigating? Hey, who's this? Who's this human in our territory?
I think at first it was probably a who is this human in our territory type of thing, but over time it almost became, might sound weird, relational, sort of like a relationship between where I think they gain trust in me over time. So I mean, I don't just go to the woods, and I know a lot of people go to the woods and they waste things. They shoot something or fish and they just leave it on the bank to die and rot. You know what I mean? I go out there, I pick up trash, I bring at least 1 or 2 trash bags and clean up other people's junk. I even leave fish. If I catch enough fish, I'll leave 2 or 3 fish for them. I've killed a couple squirrels. I'll leave a couple squirrels or rabbits for them. So I think it almost becomes like relational at a point. Just how I felt about it. Why they didn't come and kill me.
So basically, like you're leaving offerings of peace for them.
I mean, somewhat. It's just like I understand they're out there and they probably like eating the same things I like eating. And if I have enough it's not like an every time. Sometimes I'll just leave a couple fish, leave a rabbit or something just out there on that rock face, and it's always gone by the time I get back there the next day or a couple days after. So, kind of.
Well, I mean, nature says that could be anything. It could be coyotes, it could be the pigs, it could be anything. Why do you, in your mind, why do you feel it's something to do with Sasquatch?
Probably my own bias because I'd leave it for them. I'm just assuming it's them that's taking it. I mean, they're there around me most of the time when I go, so they're probably watching me leave it there, in my opinion. So, I mean, just because you don't see them around doesn't mean they're not. So I think probably my own bias because I think I'm leaving it for them, so I assume it's them taking it, right?
Right. And to be honest with you, I think that makes logical sense. So here's my question to you regarding this then. When you were out there, have you ever had any type of offerings left back, like almost in exchange?
Nothing that's like outwardly like, oh, this could be from them. I've had like smaller critters left and sort of items left. I had like a orange like safety belt of some sort that the female end of the buckle on the belt was placed around a twig while I was sitting there fishing. And then I got back and walked down the trail and it wasn't there. It wasn't there when I had gotten in, but it was there when I had gone up to leave. So I don't know if that could be what you mean by offering exactly, but found some pretty cool like rocks. Other than that, that's the only thing I've had that I think they could have left.
Were the rocks stacked?
Not really stacked. It's more so like it's like one rock is out of the way sitting on the middle of the trail, and it's always like the rocks near me aren't like smooth. I guess up near you they have like the smooth rocks. Those are like rare to find out here, and it's always like a very smooth circular shaped rock. It's almost like perfect, and it always just it's like sitting right there to where I can't miss it. So
And what people should understand too is when you spend a lot of time outdoors, out in nature, and most of us are city folk, even if we live in small towns, the majority of us are not wandering into the forest, into areas that we're not familiar with. And then that percentage goes a little bit smaller when people like Nicholas come out and take advantage of what nature has to offer, which is its beauty, its hidden areas, its hidden gems. And so these are the areas where, you know, it's said that a lot of Sasquatch hang out because they don't want to, they don't want to wander on the main path where they may be seen or disturbed or anything like that. It's very rare when we see that happening. They're usually in areas that are, are less traveled, a lot of game trails, more so than a lot of hiking trails, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So, the fact that, you were able to observe, when you're walking down a path, and I never believed this before until my buddy Little Marky Spender taught me this. You're walking down a path, when a rock is out of place. When something has been moved or something has been disturbed, or all of a sudden there's scat in the middle of the trail. I don't know how many times I've been walking on a trail and you come back and you're like, geez, was that bear scat there right before when we were walking down this trail previously? It's happened, and with nature, animals are so amazingly perfect in their camouflage, where you could be walking down a trail, you could be walking right beside a bear or a deer or whatever, and it's just going to sit there and watch you, and you don't even notice it.
Oh yeah, I've had a coyote walk by. I was sitting up in a little tree stand, and a coyote walked by only 50 yards away in the leaves. And I did not hear a single footstep from this coyote. Probably German Shepherd-sized coyote making zero noise. So you never know what's around you.
Yeah, that's a big coyote too. So the fact that you started seeing things that were out of place, like this belt and rocks in the middle of the trail, I mean, a coyote isn't going to move a rock and put it in the middle of the trail. Something with hands would.
Yes. Just like the orange buckle I'd found, where the female side of the buckle was placed through a small twig right in the middle of. It's not a trail that I walk on. It's a game trail, really. And over time, me walking through it has made it somewhat more of a trail. But it's not a hiking trail that's made by like the city or Corps of Engineer. So it's hard to miss those slight especially an orange buckle on a tree right where you walk. Right, that takes fingers, in my opinion, to put the female end of the buckle through a branch.
Well, not only that, but if you're hiking on a trail and you're the only one out there that you know of, on your way through, you're going to see something orange.
Mm-hmm. Not gonna miss it.
You're not going to miss it. That's going to stand out. Okay, so here you have this clan that you're kind of getting to know. Have you tried now that you're more into the cryptid side, have you tried to communicate more with it, or have you developed a plan on how to gain more communication as you head out there?
Not so much. I really didn't want to tell this story on it, but I'll give it to y'all just because it's a really weird one. And, you talk about this type of thing, people think you're crazy, but I don't think anyone's going to be judging me here, and I'm already here, right? We do like our woo around here, Well, this is woo so much to where it was too much woo for me, to where I actually stopped going out there I stopped going to the woods totally for probably like 4 to 6 months after this, just because of how weird it was. So it was one of those nights I'd gone out camping, and I'd gone a little deeper than I normally had. I usually hike about three-ish miles to the rock face or thereabouts, and I camped right there on the river. Well, I started going deeper and deeper, more so as to like to research what's going on back here, right? Thought, let's go deeper and just see. Like, maybe I can find something cool, like a structure or something that they're living in, maybe, you know what I mean? Found a lot of tree structures type of things, right? Big branches torn out of the ground that are a foot diameter tree just torn out of the ground somehow. I've seen some weird things, but on one particular night, I don't remember the exact date of it, I had gone out there alone, and I ended up going like probably 7-ish miles, like farther than I normally go. to camp in a new spot out by a creek because I follow the creek all the way. I mean, the creek kind of bends up and then it keeps going parallel with the forest, and I follow the parallel probably another couple miles, and that's where I'd spent the night on this like little hill that's out there. And everything was kind of normal. I didn't really have many like communications the whole time. It was kind of a quiet night, quiet day. And I was only going to go out there and spend one night. So I grabbed my tarp, grabbed my foam sleeping pad, and a little camping pillow. I mean, when you go 7 miles out, you have to carry everything on your backpack, right? So I'm sleeping under a tarp just in case it does rain, on a sleeping pad with a sleeping bag and a little pillow. I mean, nothing crazy, right? Well, I had something. I had gone to bed because nothing weird was going on. I had a feeling of something, like they were around me. I guess there's a feeling of when they're around. I don't know. I'm sure people have said it before. There's a feeling you get, and you get familiar, and it's like almost like a light switch. You're like, oh, they're nearby, right? I had that feeling about 9-ish at night, and I went to bed because you get tired when you're out in the woods, especially when the sun goes down. You pretty much go to sleep, right? I remember I got up to take a pee or something early in the morning. Couldn't tell you an exact time. I wasn't looking at my phone. Phone wasn't. It was in my backpack, and I heard for all matter of, I mean, English and like words in my head that weren't mine. It was 3 words. It was "We are here," and that was it. We are here in my head, and it wasn't like my thoughts, right? Like I know, like everyone has thoughts. You know what thoughts sound like. This was like something outside of me, and it was "We are here," and that was it. And I guess, through doing research, people call it mind speak. And that could have been one of these instances, but that scared the crap out of me, and so much to where I thought I was going to give up the woods forever. So
Why
weird.
would that scare you? After everything you have gone through, why would those words, "We are here," scare you out of the forest?
Just something a little too close to like when you go to the woods in the manner that like any sort of woodsman, you got to keep a good head about you. I mean, when you start hearing words that aren't your like a thought, like words that aren't yours in your head when you're 7 miles out in the middle of the woods, there's just something about it that just rubbed me the wrong way for some reason. That scared the crap out of me for some reason. Because I didn't know exactly what we were messing with. I thought it was just a big ape. This was something that said we're messing with something a lot more than some sort of ape, animal in the woods, for a matter of fact, right? It was just too much for me to comprehend. That's why.
So when you heard that, did you just pack up and leave?
I actually spent the night. I curled up into the bottom corner of the tarp, curled up, had my handgun like with me, right? And I sat it out. I ended up falling asleep. And I woke up in the morning and everything was like peaceful again. I don't know, just normal woods again in the morning, but I ended up spending the night. I fell asleep like very quick. I was trying to try to not think about it. I mean, my fear was, what if whatever this is, 7 miles is not an easy hike, especially at nighttime with no trails. I mean, that's going to be a hard hike out. You're better off just spending the night. So that's what I did.
Have you gone back there since?
I have. I ended up I stopped going to the woods totally, which, that gives you an idea. When a woodsman stops going to the woods totally for a long time is something serious went on. That's all I can explain it as. Something that was too much for me to handle. I can understand the footprints and all that, but once you start getting into voices in your head, that's really weird to me because I've never had, I have no mental health issues or nothing of that matter. You know what I mean? And you hear "we are here" in your head. I mean, how do you rationalize that? And I couldn't. It was almost like a PTSD type thing for a couple months. So much to the fact that when I started going back to the woods, I'd hike out 100, 200 yards, and then I'd get like too scared, and I just have to go right back to the car. I had to wean myself back into going to the woods after that experience.
Do you think they were trying to put that fear in you, or the reality of the situation is what hit you?
I think the reality of the situation, that I'm not messing with what I thought I was messing with. I assume these are more animalistic type creatures, and this was something that went more into the supernatural, woo side, right? And I just wasn't ready for that at that time.
How do you feel about it now?
Still kind of weird, but I can kind of comprehend it a lot more now because I've done a lot more research, and I realized you're not the only one. I thought I'm this lone crazy guy 7 miles out in the woods, and I'm hearing voices in my head. What's wrong with me, right? I thought there's something wrong with me, and I'm going crazy from staying out in the woods too long alone or something like that. So now I take it kind of matter of fact, but I don't talk about it with many people until now with your however many listeners, right? But
nobody's
weird.
Listening. Nobody's listening. It's just you and me, man.
The only reason I bring it up, though, is because this is things that happen to people, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if I can say it and someone else had something similar happen and they're willing to talk about it now, that's a win in my book. So
now, did you eventually put this happenstance together with your buddy who had the vomiting experience?
Yes, I only told 2 people about that experience for 2 years now, like probably a little under 2 years now until now. I only talked about it with my father because I knew he wouldn't judge me, and my buddy Alden, who was the one who had thrown up. And he thought it was kind of weird, but he believed me. And I thought, at least he's not going to make fun of me and tell me, "Oh, you're crazy," and not talk to me again, right? So I did talk to him about it, and I talked to him about most of the stuff that happened to me. So much of the fact that he started going to the woods with me and he started experiencing similar things. So it's one thing me telling you what happened, and then you go to the woods and things are happening to you firsthand. It's kind of like hey, I wasn't kidding with you. I wasn't pulling your, yanking your chain, right? So.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I would love for you to get back out in that area. Love for you to get
afterwards.
Back.
And there was actually, I'll tell, how much time do we got left?
We got about 30 seconds, so hold that story. And I do have a question from the audience coming in for you. So we're going to go about another 15 minutes on Sasquatch with Nicholas, and then his final 15 minutes, we're going to get into his near-death experience and what he experienced with that. It's a great show tonight. Nicholas Shaughnessy, all the way from Texas. He's a avid outdoorsman. He's now a Sasquatch researcher because of his own personal experiences and close encounters. How much better does it get than that? Yeah, that's what we're dealing with tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Nicholas Shaughnessy is our guest. No books, no movies, no documentaries, just personal experiences of what happens when you venture into the woods of Texas alone. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear.
All righty. Yeah, I was going to talk about that experience, but...
Dude, that's a fantastic experience.
Yeah, that one
absolutely
just messed with me
fantastic.
Very bad.
Yeah, Dirty Phil.
You've got to get Nicholas Super Duke's email. So he
they already talked. Okay. Yeah, Duke, we got to hook up Nicholas with Robin. Felipe Fierro, how you doing, buddy? Dennis Zuniga, a good veteran. He'll go with you. He says, what part of the Texas is this? I need
It's
to
out
visit
here.
these woods.
I won't say the exact location due to I don't want people going to the exact location and messing something up. I don't think it's fair to what's out there, but it's out. It's outside of DFW. How can I can't really say much because someone knows, they'll know the area. Let's just say
Well, you know what?
Grapevine Lake, backside
You
of
know what?
Grapevine Lake area.
If Dennis can reach out to you, how about that?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't been
let's
out there
do
in a while just because I recently moved here about 2 months ago. Out west a lot more, so it's probably an hour and a half drive to get back there from where I live now. So it used to be 20 minutes down the road, so I'd go there every time.
I was out at my one of my gift sites, and we hadn't been back there since last year, and everything was destroyed. Everything.
By what? How so?
Well, let's see. We had 2 toy cars out there. Those were one of them had the rubber tire bit off. Thank you, Dry Toast. The plastic ball that was sitting in the tree, the basketball, that was out in front of the tree by about 6 feet with teeth puncture wounds, but very small teeth, not big teeth, very small teeth, like I don't know, like I don't want to say rodent size, a little bit bigger, but nothing massive. The other car had one of its tires kind of pulled off. The nickel, the 2019 Canadian nickel, is missing, and 2 of the 3 glass rocks that we had were buried in the dirt.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a lot of moose and deer tracks in the area and
gotcha.
signs. So, excuse me, I cannot say that it was Sasquatch when it could have easily been a moose. And like, dude, you couldn't walk 15, 20 feet without seeing a giant pile of moose droppings.
Wow, all over the place then.
Yeah. And for anybody who's never seen moose droppings, they look like giant chocolate-covered almonds. They're hilarious.
It's kind of like elk droppings, because I've seen elk scat before.
I haven't seen elk. No, not like bear. I mean, not like deer. Like deer are like little round pellets.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
No. These are like almond-shaped, like chocolate-covered almonds in like an oval shape.
Huh.
Got a bunch of questions for you. Hi, Thurston Howell III. Hi, Stunning Pam Smith. Excuse me for the yawning, guys. I apologize.
The fact that there's animal sign around there that's the one weird part about this area that I guess researched in was the lack of wildlife. A lot of the time, no animals. I've seen a couple of pigs here and there. I've seen one squirrel. Once things started getting close, it sucks when you're out there hunting. Sucks when you're hunting.
Well, our gifting site has moose, coyotes, wolves. We've seen cat tracks, deer tracks, obviously, bear tracks. Like everything interacts in this area. So we only got about 10 seconds. Thank you to D. Cohen, Simon, Dennis, and Dry Toast for the awesome super chats tonight. Very much appreciate your love and support. And don't forget, if you're looking for some cool SOR swag, head on over to our website and hit up our store. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. Thank you so much for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We have until the top of the hour Nicholas Shaughnessy. He's been telling us about his amazing close encounters with Sasquatch in the state of Texas. Nicholas is going to take some questions here from the audience here. And then in a few minutes' time, we're going to get into his near-death experience. Nicholas, welcome back.
Hello, everyone.
All right, let's get to some questions from the audience. Brown Dwarf is wondering, did you document any of your findings or happenings?
I've taken pictures of some of the odd things, like footprints, taking pictures of, I know 2 for sure. Third one could be, and I have a little video of a 4th one, but I've taken pictures of tree structures and like kind of weird things like that. But if he means documenting such as writing like a booklet with dates and times, then no.
All right, let's move on to the next question here. This one comes from Dennis. Yeah, what part of Texas is this? He wants to go visit with you, and you said somewhere just northeast of Dallas-Fort Worth?
Yes. If anyone knows, out near Roanoke, Texas. It's Roanoke and Justin, Texas.
There
If
you
know
go.
the area, then you can't miss it. Backside of the railroad.
Felipe wants to know, have you ever had an encounter with a chupacabra? I know you have some of these creatures in Texas.
I have not seen manged coyotes, but nothing I can say is a chupacabra.
All right, we got a pair of questions here from Alien Critter. Nicholas, have you had any UFO sightings while out in the wilderness?
I have. Twice.
Oh, tell us this story then.
Pretty much. I'd seen weird lights in the sky once where I don't even know if it's a UFO or an orb, but there's something just shooting through the sky that it can just stop and it hovers there and it pulsates. That happened to me once with buddies where there was a green light pulsating when we were on the back side of the lake fishing and camping one night. It was a green light pulsating in the sky, and it was sitting there for about 20 minutes. And why we didn't film it, I have no idea. There's something about it where you just don't think about filming it. And I went to go take a leak, and I came back, and my buddies were freaking out because where that green light had been, they said it had shot into nothingness at a rate they couldn't explain. So I didn't get to see it disappear, but I believe both of my buddies, when they say they saw the same thing.
Right on. All right, let's get to Purpose and Grace. Did you keep any of the rock gifts that were left for you?
I have. Kept 2 of them. I don't have them with me right now because, still got stuff from moving in boxes. They're in a box somewhere. There's some pretty cool ones in boxes somewhere.
And a follow-up from Purpose and Grace. When you heard the voice, what did it sound like?
The We Are Here? It's kind of like sounded male-like. But not, it's hard to explain exactly how it sounded, but it was like a male English voice that wasn't mine. If that makes sense. It's clearly English. We are here, and male. So that was not my own.
All right, just a couple more questions that we have for this. So now that you have kind of moved and you're getting settled into your new area, do you find the passion to go back out there to those areas to explore it more on a research level rather than just going out fishing?
Well, I'll try to make this quick, but I'd never had really any aggressive encounters, but I did, probably probably a year ago, here coming up, probably a year ago. I was camping with my buddy Luke, and we didn't go far. We only hiked down past the bridge near the creek, maybe a mile. And we had set up camp, and we had sat around the campfire doing what you do, had a couple beers, ate some camp food like you do. And we heard, my buddy had talked about hearing the voices, the wee wah, wah, like that kind of chatter of some sort. And I heard it too. We thought maybe people, because he doesn't believe any of this. He's like a skeptic where he doesn't want to believe in anything I talk about, right? And later at about 2-ish in the morning, something had started like throwing things into our camp and like charging the camp, like bluff charging where we were. And at the time I had heard something, and it's right down like a little hill. It got within about 30 yards. And when it got that close, I had a 12 gauge shotgun. I, did the action, like, hey, get out of here. And that just made it even angrier. Whatever it was started freaking out. We got to the point where we looked at each other, didn't say a word. And we decided we're getting up and we're leaving. And grabbed our fishing poles, grabbed our cooler, and we started just going through it felt like a horror movie. Like dark woods with your headlamps on, just running in any direction. You don't know where you're going, you don't care where you're going as long as you're not going the way this thing was. I ended up losing my glasses. All of our fishing poles ended up breaking in half because we were hitting trees just trying to get out of there. We could have stepped on a snake, we could have stepped on anything. But yeah, I ended up losing my glasses, breaking all the fishing poles, and he doesn't talk to me anymore. So I guess they weren't happy with him or something, but that's the reason I stopped going there. We got ran out, and I got home later, and my mom was there. She's like, "What are you doing home at 3 in the morning?" She knows how I am. I don't leave at 3 in the morning. Like, I go camping, And she said I looked like white as a ghost, to the point where I was like, it was just hot. I just want to, like, I'm going to go to bed. She actually touched and like turned me around and went, what's wrong? I guess the look on my face was telling its own story, And I stopped going there totally after that.
When you get to an area like that where you were that scared to go in, do you think it was something different or a different clan that you were dealing with that kind of pushed you out of the area?
I talked to Carter, Carter Bouchard about it. He thinks possibly a rogue individual out there. So maybe the "we are here" is them saying, "Hey, we are here to protect you from the rogue individual," something of that sorts. But I don't think it was just the clan. I think, because I've had other people go out there and had experiences, and it was never aggressive. This was outwardly an aggressive encounter. And I think a rogue individual, something of that sort.
Right, that maybe you accidentally entered into one of its hunting areas or something along those lines.
Maybe. I mean, whatever it was, wasn't scared of a 12 gauge shotgun, So if it was a person, they'd probably be running for the hills,
Let's go to Jalen here. Do you feel like all your experiences combined are connected?
I would say so. It's almost like especially in that area, I think everything's really connected at the end of the day. I'd gone to this area beforehand for my experience in Oklahoma, and nothing had been happening to me there. It's almost like whatever it was somehow followed me 200 miles home to this area of woods I had frequented. So I think it is all connected in a way.
Well, I mean, that almost sounds like a hitchhiker effect that we hear so much, that maybe you pick something up from that original incident a couple of years ago. And it actually is like what Alien Critter is asking in the chat room. Have you had any ghost-like encounters while out there?
Not ghosts. Seeing what you can describe as like lights moving through the woods once. I guess orbs. Not ghosts, though. Nothing I can say is like a ghostly partition of some sort now.
Bomber wants to know if you've already listened to Ronald Moorhead's Sierra Sounds and if that was similar to what you heard.
I have listened to them. It's not exactly what I heard, but there's one part of that, like the Sierra Sounds, that really stands out that like gives me chills. Because I've heard it multiple times. It's like a hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Some sort of like hoo-ha, like samurai, like that part of the samurai chatter I have heard multiple times. So yes, somewhat similar, not exact.
Excellent. All right, I want to change topics here because you recently had a near-death experience, and we can't go into too much detail about it because this situation is getting ready to go to court, so to speak, or legal action getting ready to happen. So we got to be real careful with what we say here. But I'm going to let you tell what you feel is what you're allowed to say, and then we'll get into it from there. So how did this happen?
I had an accident. Just say it involved gunshot wound to my left thigh about a month ago. And, ambulance came. Thighs bleed a lot, especially when a bullet goes through it. And they came. They got some bleeding stopped. I was bleeding quite bad. And they put me up on the stretcher, which hurt quite a bit. And they rolled me out to the ambulance, in which they started hooking me up to all the stuff. You know what I mean? And we had drove maybe 5-10 minutes, maybe. Like, it was right down the road. And I just blacked out. That's all I can say. I just kind of like passed out. And while I was passed out, I had this weird, it almost felt like in the movies where you see people's life flash before them. Kind of like that, but like not exactly. It was a little different than how they portray that. But I had feelings and like images from when I was like a kid, but it's like a first person point of view. It's not like I'm watching, like in the movies, you're watching yourself do things with people. It wasn't like that. It was a first person point of view, like riding bikes when I was with my friends when we were kids, right? My first fish I had caught, first kiss. I don't know. That kind of stuff is just me going through some really like good core memories. And then I came back to before I got through all of them. So I remember the feeling being very, very peaceful, surprisingly peaceful, no worries. It was the first time in my life I had been at like total, like blissful peace in a way. So yeah, and then I came back to, and we're getting to the hospital, and I felt like I was only gone for in that like state for maybe like 5 minutes, but had to have been a lot longer because I came back to, and my 5 minutes was real life 20 minutes. If that makes sense. So I don't know if that was blacking out from blood loss or the pain and the shock of the incident. You know what I mean? But they got me to the hospital, got me all taken care of, got me all stitched up, did all their scans and all that kind of crap, and here I am alive talking to y'all. And I'm glad for it because I don't want to die at 22.
Well, you got a lot more Sasquatch encounters to have before kicking off for the final time. But, I mean, the reality of when you blacked out to when you started seeing those scenes, how long was that?
It wasn't right away. There was like a small, like maybe 30 seconds before I started seeing those scenes. I don't remember much. It was kind of more like darkness. It was like I'm there and I'm me, but I'm like not there, and like it's weird. I don't know how to explain. It's one of those things you have to experience to like understand, right? And it wasn't right away, but then it ended up happening. I don't remember seeing myself, people talk about you go up and you see yourself in the back of the ambulance. I don't remember anything like that. I just remember it all going dark for about 30 seconds. And I thought, and then like a very blissful, peaceful feeling And then I started seeing these like moments. Like I started reliving really core memories that I'd had starting at childhood all the way through, like I said, like first kiss type, like high school experiences too. Like very weird, very peculiar. Made me feel a lot better because I was always scared of death. And that made me feel a little better about the peacefulness I felt was it's just interesting. It made me feel less bad about, you die, I'd be freaking out. I wasn't freaking out at all. I was very calm and at peace with everything. Very weird.
You didn't see any loved ones. You didn't hear any voices, nothing. It was just going through scenes of your life.
Yes,
Kind
with
of
loved ones as well. Like,
right.
First time doing things as I'm 5 years old, whatever, riding a bike, stuff like that. Loved ones. I saw my mother, and my father, and that was it. I saw a couple friends throughout my childhood, thinking I didn't make it through the whole reel. It almost felt like there's a reel, and I made it only halfway through. Right. So
You almost feel ripped off.
Kind of, but part of me is like, did I really want to make it through the reel? Because that's probably not going to end well for me, But I came back too, and the doctors, the people in the back, they 3 guys in the back of the ambulance with me, right? I had a hole through my thigh. They're busy worrying about blood loss, trying to pack a wound, trying to like make blood stop coming out. And they came back. I came back too, and I guess they were really happy. So I don't know what they saw on their machines. I never asked questions, so I don't know if there's records of it somewhere of maybe I flatlined, because they did have me hooked up to all sorts of stuff, right? Everything. I was hooked up to all sorts of wires. They had a thing in my nose, all that kind of stuff. So maybe they saw me flatline for a while. I don't know. I didn't see anything about it. They didn't tell me anything about it, but they seemed relieved that I was like back and responding again. So maybe going into shock, I think maybe something like that.
That is very cool. That is very cool. I mean, tell us about what that piece is like. Like you said, it was very peaceful. What does that feel like?
It's hard to even put it into words, if I'm honest. It's one of I mean, you have to experience it to explain it in a weird way. Like, I can't tell you exactly how it feels, but like feeling of total contentness. Sometimes you get those like waves of like, I'm in a good place. Like, you get those bits in your life where everything just seems to be put in place where you need to be. And you can almost take like a deep breath and sit back. You almost get this like peacefulness from that. It was similar to that, but times 1,000. I mean, unlike anything I could compare to the real world, really. It's in its own category.
Did you feel pain, or was it all love, or just cherishing the moments as you were viewing them?
No pain whatsoever. It was happy-go-lucky. I mean, it was enjoyable. I hate to say it, but it was enjoyable. It was no pain, no worries about, you're always worrying about what I do tomorrow or I got this done. No worries about anything. Just like, it's hard to put into words, really. It's something in its own category, in my opinion. No pain. I didn't feel pain till I got to the hospital. I mean, because you got so much adrenaline going through, for the first, I live a little more out in the country, so it took them about 15, 20 minutes to come get me. Towards the end of that, once they put me on the stretcher, that hurt a little bit because they had to pick my leg up, but no pain until I got to the hospital. So, yeah.
Okay. So the fact that you were blacked out, did you talk to any of the EMTs or doctors or nurses about it?
I asked them if I'm alive. I was like, am I going to live through this? Am I alive? Like, yeah, you're good. Like, just keep talking to us. They just wanted me to keep talking to them for some reason, like, keep talking to me. Keep you going until we get to the hospital. And then I was kind of feeling decent once I got to the hospital. I was actually talking to them, normal conversation. they started giving me some drugs to like numb the pain. I don't remember. I think it was like fentanyl or something. And I heard them say fentanyl and I started freaking out. Like, wait, y'all put fentanyl into me? Am I going to die from that? They're like, relax, you're okay. Like, we're going to take care of you. So, yeah, I remember asking them multiple times, like, am I alive? And that feeling of being alive I remember being in the operating room because they billed me in through the back door, like medical emergency, right? And I was sitting there and everyone's asking me questions and I'm just amazed. I'm like, here, it almost seems surreal, like something out of a movie. Then after about an hour, I realized, like, I'm alive. Like, I'm here. Like, I'm all me still. So that's real, just going through that. You know, you don't take another day for granted after something like that. No doubt. Just happy to be awake in the morning.
Well, that's going to feel good, man. That's going to feel good. I mean, gosh, I've never gone through that. I hope I don't, but for those who have, the majority of the time, it's stories like yours. It's very peaceful. It's very calm. Did you hear any music or outside of your parents or yourself in a first person? Did you have any encounters with other people or spiritual beings?
No encounters with anything. Whenever, like, I was there. It's weird. It's weird to explain. Like, I'm there, but I'm not there. Like, me and my body, who you see, Nicholas Shaughnessy, is not there. But like, whatever you are to yourself, I guess call it spirit, soul, whatever. Like, that was there. Like, I'm there, but in a different way than I am here on the real world. But I never saw any other people or beings or anything of that. I just went through that highlight reel till about age 12, 13, and then I came back to. And I'm looking dead at the ceiling of a ambulance. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Wow. So, out of all the experiences you have had now, where you've seen a UFO, you've had a near-death experience, you have had these interactions with cryptid creatures, you've seen orbs going through the trees at night in the middle of the forest where there should be no light whatsoever. What do you think's going on with you?
I have no idea. My buddies think I'm some sort of like magnet to weird stuff for some reason. I haven't, it seemed to be mostly Bigfoot and like wood stuff, but I guess that's because I'm out there so much. I was going out there so often. It's kind of, haven't seen like ghosts. I haven't been like put on a UFO craft or nothing. And we don't have the time now but the missing time that had happened, but I don't remember anything from that. So something's going on. I don't know what, but I kind of wish I could go back to my normal life where I don't have to worry about anything weird in the woods. I can just go out there and nod off on a tree, take a siesta, and not worry. But I can't do that anymore.
I would be more worried about the hogs coming up and feeding on you than the Sasquatch.
I agree. It's just different. I understand wild animals, but when you get into something that we don't know anything about, that we don't have guaranteed like knowledge of, such as, Sasquatch, all that kind of stuff, it's just a different feeling. So I understand wildlife. I know how to deal with a hog. If you run up on a hog and he's backed up, he's probably going to come right to you. But when you hear something following you in the woods, bipedal following you, what do? There's no like rule set on what you're supposed to do with these types of things. So that's kind of what I mean.
We all know that. Nicholas, thank you so much for sharing your story tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Absolutely awesome, my friend. And we will do it again. So thank you so much. Thank you to Dirty Filth for the amazing art. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, it's the UFO Report. Tim Senor is going to be with us, giving us the report tonight and throughout this week. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio when we return on the Mighty SOR for Hour 3. Good job, kiddo. Good job.
It.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Sorry, everyone, if I wasn't my first time on something like this. So I'm trying to figure out all that.
Once you got through the nerves, kiddo, you were awesome. You were awesome. That last
Cheers.
90 minutes was fantastic radio.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's good
I'm
to get
telling you
someone
right
to talk
now,
my stuff.
I want to get my ass down there and go out with you there, man. I do. A couple people asking for your email in the chat room. I'll let you decide whether or not you want to put that in. And I will let you go at this time, Nick.
All right. I appreciate it, everyone. Everyone,
Take
Dave.
care, buddy.
You too, Phil.
Have a good night, sir.
Dirty Filth, it's all on you, buddy. Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. One of these days, I got to come up with the second stanza. I'll be right back, Dirty Filth.
It's been like 10 years, Dave. Yeah, he's going right away. Right at the end of the cartoons. How's that for cartoons tonight? Whole bunch of art cards. If you go to Vegas next year, you might get one. I'll probably just put it in your pocket. You wouldn't even know about it. So with these, I originally bought some art cards and they were a certain size, and then I couldn't buy them anymore because the company discontinued them, whatever. And so I just took one of the last art cards I have left, which is the Whiskachoo, which is my cat in Pokemon form. And I just went with that. So turns out this paper that I use, or like cardstock, whatever, is only 8 cards wide, and then these little strips on the side. So I went, well, I guess I'll just draw cartoons on there too. So that's what I did. Apologize, you'd hear the clinking and the clanking of me watering my weapon of choice here. So yeah, I don't know. They discontinued, like I was saying, they discontinued this type of, or the original stuff that I was using years ago. So I've just been using this ever since, and it works out good because sometimes I like drawing these weird floral patterns. It's a good space filler, really, is what it is. It's kind of like a little practice page. I should have like a Dirty Filth coloring book, like save all my drawings and not color them and scan them first and sell the coloring book for $10,000 a shot. Or a lifetime supply of pizza. I'm gonna go for that right now. Starving to death. I'm starving, my tapeworm's starving. Blob is starving. I know Whiskey's starving. All the cats are starving. Nonetheless, though, we get these little weird bouquets of flowers. Except for this one. This is like a virus of some sort. It's an alien flower. Let's find a weird color. Can't find a sufficient weird color at this point in time. We'll work on that one later on. Yeah, I've been drawing these art card things for about like 10,000 years now. You just sneak them into people's pockets and junk as you're doing stuff. Leave them on a table. I left someone a mailbox one time, and some lady was like, "Hey, I think she lives in like Yellowknife or something." She's like, "Oh, I was just in Edmonton, and I found these in the mailbox. Is it okay?" And I didn't color them, actually. I deliberately didn't color them. And she was like, am I allowed to paint these? It's like, well, yeah, they're yours now. So she painted them. It was pretty cool. It's kind of like an art collaboration, an unintentional art collaboration. I did the Edmonton Art Walk. Sort of collaborated with the lady in the next stall towards me.
9:30.
Hi,
How you
Dave.
doing?
I'm struggling to keep talking while I'm painting here because I just go into a void.
Well, you are a void.
No, I'm dauntless, Dave.
Big thank you tonight to Bigfoot Rob, Cat Chaser, Dry Toast, Dennis, Simon, and D. Cohen for the amazing super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show. Thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up. We're 10 away from 100. We'd really like to get 100 thumbs up. If you haven't already, we'd appreciate it. And thank you to all the veterans who are tuning on in tonight. We really do appreciate it. Here we go, everyone, with the third hour.
Oh, I'm going to mute myself.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Valakula. Valakula is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with another edition of The Swamp as we head into the Swamp Dwellers area for another spooky story.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. I've been contemplating submitting my stories, and while listening to the Mississippi Horror Stories episode, one story reminded me of an experience I've been thinking of sharing. I want to share more in the future, but this is the most recent. I'm a young woman in my early 20s. I am a full-time college student, but I like to travel as much as possible because I do photography, and this past year, I have picked up solo traveling and road trips. I live in North Carolina, and as I was driving on the way back from visiting Atlanta, Georgia, I have been making this trip since my childhood because my family is from around that area, and since traveling alone, I have done this quite a few times. I'm very comfortable making this trip. I like traveling late at night because there's no traffic, so the time frame of this story is between 1 to 2 a.m. I'm in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. It couldn't have been too middle of nowhere because I was on the interstate, which I am familiar with, but there is a part that doesn't have much of anything for quite some time. I had not seen any signs for gas stations in a minute. The signage was dirty and outdated, you know the look, so I knew I was in the country, but I had to use the bathroom incredibly bad. I usually try to avoid rest stops late at night, but I had a feeling one was coming up before a gas station, and sure enough, one came up in about 2 miles. I am pulling in and notice that it seems quite lonely. You know when an area seems like there haven't been people there for a little while, but at the same time, there are a couple of cars in the parking lot? and the parking lot on the other side was full of 18-wheelers, so I wasn't too nervous at all about going to the bathroom. I am not a very fearful person in general. As I pull into the parking lot, you know that rest stops are usually just the one way in, one way out. I am taking note of the cars in the parking lot, and right as the parking lot starts, I notice a truck or SUV with a trailer. They're parked right by the entrance, but there were no parking spaces in that particular area. It's just facing out towards the parking lot. So it seems like it's a distant distance from the main building, parked parallel to the driveway that brings you in. I hope that makes sense. So I notice this and don't think anything of it. For some reason, I tell myself no one is in there. It was very dark and I couldn't see through the windows when I passed by. I pulled into the closest spot that I could that was nearest to the bathroom. I'm about to turn off my car, but I wait to situate myself a little, taking off my headphones, grabbing trash, and waiting and seeing if anyone comes out of the bathroom. I also decide to say a little prayer. I specifically said, "God, please keep me safe, but I know you will like you always do." I'm not bothered because I need to use the bathroom that bad. And just as I was about to get out of the car, I decided to look at my surroundings again. There are 3 cars total in the parking lot. One parked beside me, another in the direction of the entrance, and the SUV I previously described. And now I noticed their headlights were on. I cannot definitively remember them being on or off when I drove past, but I do remember barely being able to see the vehicle in the first place, so I assumed they would have been off when I pulled into my spot initially. Because of how they were parked facing the parking lot, their lights were shining right in the direction of my car. I found this weird, but I thought they could have been walking their dog or something of the like. But I looked and saw no one outside of the car. I also looked at the other 2 cars in the parking lot and noticed no one had come out of those either. I also noticed they seemed to have not been turned on for a little bit either. This probably sounds crazy, but I could feel the vehicles were cold, like the engine had not been running for some time, and that was highly odd to me as there were other cars farther back behind me that were completely fogged up. That thick, watery condensation fog that builds up on your windshield. Maybe people were getting high or having sex in there, perhaps even both. But like I said, it just gave me the feeling like it had not been on in a while, and both vehicles I presumed were empty for sure. That's why I was waiting to see if at least one of the owners would come out. I just wanted to see some movement before I left my car, and usually, if there are cars at the rest stop, you are bound to see someone getting in or out, some sort of movement. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I was convinced these other 2 cars had been sitting a while, and that was just so odd to me. Who would leave 2 seemingly perfect cars in the middle of South Carolina at a rest stop? An empty parking lot would have been more comforting to me. And why was this one vehicle facing me with its lights on? As I previously mentioned, I am not a very scared person. I believe that you attract your fears and negative thinking draws negative things. So it was alarming to me when I pictured myself going into the bathroom and being attacked on the way out. I am rarely paranoid either, but this was the most paranoid I had felt in so long. I never even turned my car off. I looked at the utterly fogged up car one more time and said, "No, not tonight." I had never pulled out so fast out of a rest area, and I didn't feel scared, I felt incredibly relieved. And as I pulled off, it was like I could see the people or individuals watching me drive away, and I could hear a deep voice in my head say, "You made the right choice." I felt something terrible would happen to me if I went to that bathroom. I am a proud supporter of following my gut and intuition. Maybe nothing would have happened, but I wasn't about to try and find out. I believe that night God protected me by prompting me to wait and analyze my surroundings. I know this may not have been the scariest or most climactic story, but thank you for reading it anyway.
Well, what do we tell you on this show all the time? Listen to that little voice. Trust that little voice. And I think that's what happened in that story. We want to say thank you to the Swamp Dweller for coming on in and spooking us out once again. You could go hit subscribe on his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. All right, let's get to the UFO report. Tim Senor filling in this week. Let's get her done.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Dave Scott.
Hey, how you doing there, Tim Senor? Good
Doing
to have
well,
you
buddy.
on the UFO report. Thank you for coming on in, man.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, you know what? It's hard to see you. Our radio audience can't see you at all. But for us on the YouTube Twitch side, it's hard to see you. You're wearing camouflage. Like, are you really there? Are you really
No, I'm
there?
not. No, I'm not. I'm not here. No,
All
I just
right.
blend in with wherever I go.
Well, you are that guy. You got that Howie Mandel look to you, and the fact that
Aerodynamic.
you are aerodynamic, my friend. All right, let's get right to it, my friend, because we got a
Yes.
lot of topics to cover here
Right.
over the next little bit of the on the UFO report here. Let's start off with a little bit of news because this one just isn't going away, and I'm going to tell you right now, this one still upsets me, Tim. Still upsets me. I cannot shake the anger that I have for NASA playing us like fools, saying that they're getting into UFOs. What's new in this, man?
Well, there's a couple of new aspects happening. And so, first off, there's America's best astrophysicists are taking UFOs seriously now. And so, UFOs or UAPs, now that they're known as UAP, right, as they're more decorously called, have been in the news a lot lately. And so, just as of last month, the House Intelligence Committee's Counterintelligence and Counterproliferation Subcommittee conducted their public hearings on more than 140 sightings by military pilots over the past 20 years, right? And so they were discovering that these UAPs were flying in a manner of inexplicable ways, such as bobbing, weaving, hovering, diving, changing direction with head snapping speed that would produce potentially deadly G-forces to any living being, or at least any living human being inside. So now there's a third agency coming on board and getting involved in the effort to explain UAPs, and NASA itself, believe it or not, is at the head of that. And so, as Bill Nelson, the head of NASA, announced June 9th, it's launching its own investigation. And so, beginning in the fall, to get to the bottom of the UAP mystery, the effort will be led by astrophysicist David Spergel and the president of the Simons Foundation in New York City, and previously the chair of the astrophysics department at Princeton University in Princeton, New Jersey. And then Daniel Evans, the assistant deputy associate administrator for the research of NASA's Science Mission Directorate. And he will serve as NASA's official responsible for orchestrating the study. So this budget is slated at about $100,000, and the study is going to kick off and run for 9 months. This is going to analyze all of the available data that they currently have and first-hand accounts, all of the first-hand accounts amassed so far by NASA, and consult both with military and civilian experts for their analysis of this evidence. So the space agency is open to any and all interpretations of the data through its setting a high bar for at least one. However, in a statement from NASA, they're still sticking by their original statement that they've always had, that there is no evidence and that there is no evidence that UAPs are extraterrestrial in origin. But again, as we know, I see you shaking your head, and as we know, the absence of evidence, of course, is not evidence of absence, right? And NASA officials acknowledge that and anything is possible. And so they're going to follow the findings wherever they may point.
So
Right?
basically, what they are doing for our audience, who is actually a lot smarter than what they are saying, they're taking $100,000, which is a drop in the bucket for any type of study. It's basically, a couple of lunches at Beverly Hills in order to study unidentified aerial phenomena. Tim, I don't care how much they're name dropping and which scientists are going to be looking into this. they're treating us like fools.
Right. Right. I understand your skepticism. Again, we're going to have to look at NASA's history and the supporters that they've had, such as SETI. They're kind of on board in that world of skeptics. But again, they have in the past, and as we've seen, really taken advantage of some of the astronauts they've put in space by quieting them down and not letting them talk about some of the experience they potentially had. And so I find that really a kind of telling story as to what is to potentially come with this quote unquote research that they've already quoted as saying that there's no evidence for. So it sounds like they've already made their mind up that there is no evidence, but yet our history shows and our astronauts show that may not be the case.
I have been working over the last couple of weeks very quietly with Darcy Weir on a new documentary. I've been doing the voiceovers for him.
Interesting.
And it's about NASA and UFOs. And I was doing voiceover work yesterday for him on a couple pilots who flew NASA's X-15. One had an encounter at 314,000 feet above Earth. Okay?
Yeah.
This is where I get angry because we know they have the evidence. We know they have the astronauts. We know they have the pilots who have all encountered something. Never mind astronauts who, some of them have lived on the space station for 6 months to a year. I mean, in 2020, there was the Russian cosmonaut who literally filmed a boomerang out the window
With his cell phone, I believe. Is that correct?
with his cell phone.
Yeah.
And here we're supposed to believe and that this is brand new to NASA. You've been working in space for 70 years. Gemini had UFOs.
Dave, you
Apollo-
just said a magic number there, not to interrupt you, but 70 years. Isn't that interesting? That's also around the same time as Air Force. And, let's talk about Blue Book. I mean, these things must be all related. All of our astronauts are harvested from the Air Force. And then, kept under wraps, all the information under their military NDAs, excuse me. And so I think just like the point you're making here, this is just another expression of how it's going to be swept under the table. And just the fact that this is a third leg investigating, we already know that the two departments that they have set up could easily come up with the same, this is a mundane answer. And then we would have a finalized answer confirmed by NASA that this is just something mundane. Let's hope not.
If the media would do their job and ask them, well, what about all of these astronauts who claim to have seen things in space? Because these are pretty smart men and women, Tim.
Right.
NASA doesn't choose dummies like myself or many others, okay, to head up to the International Space Station or back in the day, head up in a rocket or a shuttle. They don't do that. You have to be the best of the best of the best of the best, pretty much like being a Navy SEAL. Okay, it's only the 1% of 1% that make that.
That's right. And up until recently, we provided seats on a lot of our missions to Russian cosmonauts. And to add to that, in today's news, Dmitry Rogozin, the head of Russia's Roscosmos space agency, has said Russian officials are conducting studies into UFO reports themselves. The space agency chief said that he's aware of unidentified flying objects accounts provided by pilots, and these reports often come back after test flights. Rogozin follows up and says in an interview with the Rozoya 24 news channel that 99.9% of all reports and or other physical phenomenon, but also considered that we might be a subject to some extent of observation. So, furthering, NASA believes that the tools of the science discovery are powerful and apply here. And so Thomas Zurbuchen, also the administrator of science at NASA headquarters in Washington, says, "We have access to broad range of observations from Earth and from space, and this is the lifeblood of science inquiry. So we have the tools and the team who can help us improve our understanding of the unknown, and that's the definition of what science is, and that's what we do." So let me just highlight there that it sounds like part of the initial data collection is going to be coming from our own satellites. And so I find that just in this first sweep, what they'll be doing is narrowing down the sources that they can get to get data that will qualify as significant as a report. So I think that initializing and utilizing satellite data, that sounds like something new, Dave. Have you heard of that before?
I have heard of that because I think that's what the Galileo project wanted to try and accomplish with theirs, is use satellites in order to try and aim them towards areas that could be potential hotspots. Now, I may be wrong on that, okay, and I'm not afraid to be wrong on that, but I have heard that before, yes.
Right. And so obviously you'd have to be at some level of NASA or a part of this team to get access to that kind of information, because we know just recently that UAPX reported that they were blocked off from the satellite data that they were purchasing from an independent satellite distributor of service, right? So what they got as far as data was just blacked out. They didn't receive information. And so some of this can be accessed, but some of it obviously is censored.
And here we go again. We're not supposed to be playing games, but we're playing games. And, you know, as we got about 90 seconds to go in this segment before we have to go to commercial break, Tim Senor on the UFO report tonight. I'm curious, you know, if anybody's been paying attention to Twitter, Representative Tim Burchett has been going absolutely nuts on NASA, exactly the same way we have. And, you know, I look at UFO Twitter, and as I said in my rant last week on the Dave 101, UFO Twitter, yes, we have to support NASA announcing they're getting into the game. But let's not get gushy with these morons. Okay? And right now they are acting like morons. And I don't like to, you know, call people names like that or anything of the sort. But Tim, there is a lot in NASA's closets and file folders and dresser drawers and you know, Dixie cups from the water cooler that are just hanging on out, and they're playing it like we're stupid. And I'm sorry that I'm offended by that. I'm sorry to our audience that I keep ranting on this, but this one's really upset me, man.
Right.
Really.
And you bring up a really good point. They do have heaps of data and photographs and evidence, but let's also consider the fact that they have spent a lot of energy at censoring that. And so even with this new investigation where they're encouraging people to look into these files of data, they may find so much censorship still that even NASA doesn't know what the real truth is anymore. And that is purely my own hypothesis, of course. I'm sure there's a lot of truth still there. But how much will get revealed?
That is the big one. Tim Senor filling in on the UFO report this week. When we come back, we're going to get into space news. General Motors and Lockheed Martin coming together? We'll find out about it when we return on Spaced Out Radio's UFO report. Nice start, Tim. Good job.
Good stuff. D-Man. So good to see you, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Actually, can we talk about something real quick here that you just mentioned about Tim Burchett, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I think that, you know what, we may be seeing this reaction at NASA publicly talking about this right now because of Tim Burchett, and that's just a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, the timing just is pretty much on point here. What do you think?
I love the way okay, I don't know Tim Burchett from the neighborhood fox that walks around in the green belt. All right. I know he's a politician. I don't know. I think he's Republican. You know, I'm not following his politics. I've talked to a number of people who say he's very set in his ways with certain things. I don't care about that. What I care about is what is he saying about the entire UFO portion. And everything that we at Spaced Out Radio have fought for to bring to the public. Hi, gorgeous Larry. Nice to finally have you here. Is what he is saying. Okay. Disclose, like even going back a few weeks ago, where, you know, right after the hearings, where he was on fire about after the hearings.
Yeah.
Okay. Where he's like, disclosure is let us know Roswell on forward. Everything. That's disclosure. We're just getting confirmation. And now you look at it with NASA, where he's basically saying to NASA, you know, you guys are an embarrassment for the way you're talking about this subject. I mean, basically, you got to realize NASA is calling their astronauts and their pilots fools.
Right.
Fools. And that's from Gemini, Apollo, the shuttles, right up to where we are today. They're calling them fools. And I love GYJ Overlander here. It's because people have seen NASA's BS for decades. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, this is where I get pissed off at how foolish UFO Twitter is, because the anytime somebody famous, LeBron James, could come out and say, you know, I had a good basketball game, me, his typical interview. Okay. By the way, saw a UFO and it was awesome. All of a sudden, everybody in UFO Twitter is going to be buying LeBron James gear because he said the words UFO or the letters UFO. All right. And that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
You are so right. And perhaps it goes the other way. You know, and everyone that's a LeBron James fan starts buying UFO t-shirts and stuffed aliens.
YJ says, I called this months ago when I saw Lou get hissy about alien disclosure and say, no, it's going to be nuts and bolts. YJ, I can tell you right now, that attitude is changing very, very quickly. Very quickly. And that's one of the reasons why Lou stepped away. Now you can take those words for what you say or however you want, but there is a much larger picture regarding that with Mr. Elizondo and his work for Space Force. And it's very, very interesting. I wish I could go.
I'm not prodding you.
I know. You know almost as much as I do, so.
I mean, it's exciting times. It really is. I feel lucky personally to be just alive, living these times with all of you.
It is pretty cool.
And thanks for having me on tonight, by the way, Dave. It's great. It's so much fun in SOR. This place is great.
Just look at it.
This is so awesome. I love what you've done in here. It feels much bigger.
Thank you. Here, let's go to the different camera angle if it'll ever start up, but it's not starting up.
Please, Dave.
No, it's not.
And I must say, when I play, SOR in my kitchen, all the butter melts. When your voice floods the kitchen.
All right. A big thank you to Deco and Simon Dennis Dry Toast, who I just added on Twitter. I'm follower number 1, Cat Chaser, and Rob for the super chats. Thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up and all the veterans out there. Here we go.
Angle 2.
We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with the UFO report. Joining us, Tim Senor, and he's filling in this week. And General Motors, not just wanting to build cars and trucks anymore, but apparently they're teaming up with Lockheed Martin on a lunar rover production?
That's right. That's right. GM and Lockheed are taking their lunar rover project to the commercial space market now. So the announcement marks the latest expansion for GM's Ultim technologies, which include batteries and the outside auto market. So last year, the companies announced a partnership to develop a lunar rover using the Ultium vehicle platform and the batteries, and use them for NASA. GM has also announced the partnerships to use or test the technology in electric motors for trains, boats, and other systems. So GM and Lockheed Martin said Thursday that they plan to produce an array of moon roving vehicles for commercial space missions and services powered by the automaker's electric vehicle battery technology. So the partnership to develop a lunar rover utilizing its Ultium vehicle platform and batteries for NASA will help in assessing projects following a bid for its upcoming Artemis missions to the moon. And so this is looking to me like they're taking their new technology and slapping it into a few different rover options that are going to work for different missions, not just with NASA, but with other independent corporations as well. But it sounds like some of the first ones are going to be going to the moon on Artemis.
Gee whiz. I mean, two things that I have to say about this. It's really nice that we're going to now pollute the moon with lithium ion batteries. That portions of those batteries cannot be
Ultium. They're called Ultium batteries. Well, and so, but yes, it'll still look like somebody's Duracells in the backyard.
So my question is, where are they finding the diesel generator to have the rechargeable plug-in for the electric vehicle? All right, that's my first question.
Right.
But number two, and as you can see, I'm not a big
fan. These are good questions. No, these are great questions. I might have a couple answers, but go ahead. I did do a little research, please.
Number two, why would anyone pair up with General Motors on this? General Motors can't figure out. No, but let me speak here for a second, okay?
Okay.
Let me speak here for a second. Because if anybody has ever owned a GM or Chevy truck, you know that after sitting in there for about 28 minutes, that your padding literally goes right down to the plywood that is holding the seat together. There is no comfort. There is no comfort in GM interior. There is no.
So you are currently talking to a Suburban owner, and I gotta say, it's like floating in a cloud, my friend.
There is a difference between the $90,000 Suburban and the $55,000, $60,000 Sierra 1500.
Okay.
I'm serious.
I'm not gonna. We don't have to go here. We are men,
Yeah,
but we don't have to talk about trucks. We just don't have to. We can rise above the fray and not talk about trucks. But either way, interesting. Lockheed's on board, so I find that interesting. And so I think what it really is the GM is bringing the Ultium battery, which is actually something that they use in a lot of their electric vehicles on this planet. And so they're taking that tech and offering it to Lockheed. And I believe a lot of what the technology in this battery is going to express is a lot of rechargeability within the vehicle itself. So just the momentum of the vehicle is going to recharge the battery, and so it's one of those old school things where hopefully, it doesn't fail once it gets to the moon. And I'm sure they'll do plenty of testing.
realistically too, that car will probably have some sort of you know, solar energy panel on there in order to recharge the battery, which would make sense because the moon does get a lot of sunlight each and every day. So I mean, I could see that happening. Not
There's
a
a
problem.
dark side, though, a permanent dark side of the moon. So that's something to consider. But I'm sure they've done the math. I mean, they must have done the math, bud. They're doing it. So I think it's pretty interesting. And I also kind of see, Artemis is slated for what, 3 years from now, I think.
Something like that.
And so, they're going to have to scramble to get that technology together if they're only just starting to put the partnership together. So we'll see what happens next.
Well, they're still in test phases for Artemis, and they're
Right.
hoping that Artemis 1's moon mission launch options run through June 2023. So 1 year from now. 1 year from now, that we could see at the earliest something happening.
Interesting. Wow, they're really going to have to scramble if they want to get on board that.
Oh,
And
that's going to be pushed back. There's going to be pushback there.
It is NASA. It is NASA. And so it's also interesting to think that they'll be going with some independent missions that are going to, I'm not sure if it's just the moon or, it sounds like they're designing lunar rovers, which says moon to me. But that also expresses that there could potentially be independent companies going there on their own. Is there something that Elon Musk isn't telling us? Question mark?
You know what? I don't know. I think there's a lot of trend. I mean, don't forget. 4 years ago, the To the Stars Academy was going to space. Everybody wants to go to space now. Everybody.
Absolutely. Right. And
It's a popular thing to do.
and you can do it with Virgin, right? Doesn't Virgin fly to space?
Yeah, for I think a couple million a seat right now.
Right. Right. I find that interesting. And so people are willing to spend a fortune to go to space, but not invest in UAP science. I find that distressing because this is really the most, in my personal opinion, and I think it's been expressed other places, that this is potentially the most important science mystery of our time and of our generation. And, it is intensely interesting to investigate. It's not a simple answer. It really isn't.
Very true. All right, third one. You got a film review
I do.
that you were checking out. Alien Abduction Answers. What's this all about?
So a brief synopsis is the governments of the world cannot hide anymore that alien contact is happening. And this is a film of what, why, and how it is occurring. Right. And so it's a film produced and directed by a new friend of mine named John Yost. And he worked with Whitley Strieber very closely to produce this film containing a lot of abduction experiencers and their story. And he weaves his own personal experience throughout the film in a very elegant way. Tells a very I guess, scary or, potentially scary story that he has lived himself. So it was a really elegant way for him to tell this story and kind of a bigger picture at the same time, because I'm sure for somebody that lives an abduction experience, um, that is something very personal, and I'm sure it would be really hard to come to terms with, and especially on the level of being able to put together a documentary about it. That would take a lot of charisma and spirit to do.
Look, when you do a documentary on something as personable and as unbelievable as alien abduction, you're really putting your entire life on the line going public like that. You really are. And I commend anybody who has the strength to do that.
Yeah.
I've been pretty open with what I've experienced personally on this show, but I do worry about my children. What are their people saying? Their friends' families, their bosses, when my dad's a little bit of a weirdo. You know what I'm saying?
There is the stigma, and I mean, it is changing, but there's a heavy one that comes with such an up and close and personal experiences such as this, especially when it could be something really, intimate or, potentially personally devastating. There's a ton of PTSD involved with this, and I think it's obvious for anyone that's really gone through it. And so to watch John Yost in his film expressing his experiences and talking with Whitley Strieber, obviously was a lot of therapy for him because he got through the film. And then he wove other people's experiences that he had come across and their stories. And so there was a lot of people that kind of found the strength to come together for this documentary. But I have to say, really, really well done. And if you're interested in the topic, I think this definitely is a great introduction to it in a way that makes it very believable and realistic to someone that may be a little unsure of how they want to feel about this topic.
Well, we should let our audience know, too, that on July 7th, we have John Yost coming on the show.
Fantastic.
He's tentatively agreed to come on that night. And you know what? It's one of those things where we, as a show, are very privileged to have a lot of experiencers on here. This is the direction that we like. We want to hear those firsthand encounters. Hey, they may be anecdotal, but for the majority of people out there, they want to hear what people are experiencing.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a lot of critics to the anecdotal evidence, that's for sure. But for the most of us, we want that. We want to hear about that spooky story.
Yeah, Dave, you do. And you gave me a safe and fun platform to tell my family's story. So this is a great place for experiencers to come and hear other people talk and feel comfortable at some point to maybe come and talk about it themselves, because that's what it was for me. And so the fact that you're going to have Mr. Yost on is so exciting because his story is amazing. Amazing. Quite like your own first-hand experience for a lifetime. I think that's incredible.
Well, and you know what? I think we're going to see a lot more people come out in the limelight regarding their experiences. And I really hope, in my hope of this all, is we got about 90 seconds before we got to head over to news. But Tim, my real hope is this. I really hope that we don't see all of these former Hollywood stars, these D-list stars, going all the way down to the letter Z, not Z, Z. Okay. And all of a sudden, much like they did with the Hollywood Haunting show, where all of these actors and actresses that have been out of the business for 15, 20 years coming back on camera to say, I lived in a haunted house in the Hollywood Hills, or
Right.
back. I'm tired of that. And these are real experiences that people are having, and we got to make sure that the Hollywood types don't take advantage of these people,
Don't
because
glamorize it. Yeah.
it's not fun. Even if you're having the good aliens come around, It's not fun when you lose control and you have no recollection of what happened. You only got a couple of snippets, and that's what you're going by. And it sucks, man. It sucks. So the fact that anybody is brave enough to tell their story about ET abduction and how it's affected them, how they live, how they work, how they get paranoid, like you said, PTSD on daily, going to bed gives people PTSD. I mean, I don't even know how to do it. Tim, I'm going to get you to hold on here for a few minutes. We're going to quickly get to Shirky Poo's news, and we'll talk to you in the after show. Hold on. Here we go.
Pleasure.
What time is it? It's time for Shirky Poo's news!
Yeah, Shirky Poo. Starting off with one angry elephant. Oh, this angry elephant is some holding a grudge. A woman has been attacked twice by an enraged elephant. Once while she was alive, and I don't even mean to laugh, but the other time was at her funeral. Yeah. 68-year-old Maya Murmu was fetching water when she was attacked by a furious elephant in one of India's districts last week. The pissed-off pachyderm was part of a larger herd that had strayed from the nearby Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary. When Murmu attempted to flee, one of the elephants charged her and trampled her to death. She was taken to hospital, but died of her injuries. In the evening, when Murmu's body had been returned to her family, her loved ones began performing her last rites. Unfortunately, this pissed off the elephant again. You can't make this up. The livid creature then seized the opportunity to give her another beating. The angry animal, according to reports, stormed the funeral, took the corpse from the pyre, trampled her dead body, threw it, and then said, well, that's about enough, and fled. Her family kept the body outside the house for the funeral, and the animal again came and attacked her. According to Inspector Lopamudra Nayak of the police, reports say that the enraged elephant waited near the mangled corpse for over an hour before it began to roar. Other members of the elephant's herd answered the call, with the group of them then attacking the village and destroying Murmu's house. Murmu's last rites were eventually performed a few hours later after family members were sure the elephants had left the building. It is not known if anyone else was harmed by the rogue elephants. Oh my God! Like, how does this happen? This lady must have done a little bit more to upset these elephants.
I mean,
yeah, hop in, Tim. What do you think?
I don't know if I'm supposed to comment on this or not, but I must say, sir, they must have done something at some point to upset those elephants. Elephants are very intelligent, and they probably keep and hold a grudge. So,
yeah.
Wow.
I understand.
There's a lesson there.
There is a lesson. You see elephants, be nice to them. Be kind. Otherwise, they're coming to get you in death.
Yeah, and anyone, not just elephants. I think that's just a karmic message.
You got that right. New Zealand has revealed plans to hand down a carbon tax to farmers in order to tackle one of their biggest greenhouse gas problems: barnyard animals that fart and burp too much. The price on agricultural emissions would make New Zealand the first country to make farmers pay for the gases that their cows or sheep produce. New Zealand, a large agricultural exporter, is home to 5 million people. Compare that to about 10 million cattle and 26 million sheep. Now, that's a lot of burping and farting going on. Yeah, there is no question that we need to cut the amount of methane we are putting into the atmosphere, and an effective emissions pricing system for agriculture will play a key part in how we achieve that, said New Zealand's climate change minister, James Shaw. I wonder if James has been eating any beef or lamb lately. I wonder. I always wonder about these political zealots when they attack a farmer, because face it, people, you may not like it, but without farmers, we starve. And pissing off farmers with a climate tax is not a good way to get food to the table. I'm just saying. Bad move, New Zealand. Bad move. An Indian woman married herself on Saturday in a huge ceremony that had everything except a partner for the bride. 24-year-old Kashama Bindu, a digital creator from Vadodara, she's decided, well, I'm going to make myself the first Indian self-marriage or sologamy wedding. Sologamy. I just wanted to be a bride like most women. Get ready, wear the best wedding outfit, and be photographed. But I don't want to be a wife, she said. So I'm marrying myself. Good for her. Good for her. I like this woman.
What's that? I feel like I've been left out. Where was this option for me 15 years ago? I missed the boat.
Oh,
sorry to interrupt you, but that just sounds fantastic.
If we could turn back time. All right. She goes, I never thought that it would be a big deal, but I want people to understand that one can be single and be happy. With my marriage, I want them to look at the positive sides of self-love and accept the concept of marrying thyself. Wonderful. Thank you to Shirky Poo for the awesome news tonight. That was absolutely fantastic. That elephant story, I'm going to remember that one for a while. Totally remember that.
Terrifying.
Thank you, Tim Senor, for coming on the UFO Report. We'll talk
pleasure.
to you in a couple of nights' time. And, of course, to Swamp Dweller for the wonderful spooky story. Swamp Dweller's here every single night that I am on the air. And our guest tonight, Nicholas Shaughnessy, for coming on in with some great Sasquatch and Nde'S stories. Of course, we can't forget Dirty Phil for his amazing art. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. That was good times there, bud. Good times. It's like Hardy Eats. Good times.
Did you, was that okay?
That was fantastic, brother. Fantastic.
Okay.
Courtney E., how are you? Mystics Walk, nice to see you. Gorgeous Teresa for coming back in. Yeah. Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got Lola. By the way, Lola's not looking like a little cute puppy anymore. She's looking like a cute little big dog. Just saying, buddy. Yeah. That was a good show, man.
You got a great audience too, man. They love you.
Oh, there's Thomas. Thomas hopping in. Oh my, T-Man. Would you look at that? Would you look at that?
T-Man.
Did you see the super chats going haywire on Thomas's show yesterday?
Was that yesterday or the weekend? Yeah, this
Yeah, it was
weekend was
yesterday.
great.
Poor
Thank
Thomas.
goodness, man.
Poor
He
Thomas.
was, yeah, he
He
was
was
getting
being
showered.
he was getting punched left, right, center with super
Yeah,
chats and
I love
super
it.
stickers. Good job, Tom. Good
Yeah,
job.
he deserves it.
Yeah, he does. I think that was the first time because he was getting a little overwhelmed. He
It was
was.
great. He couldn't even name all the names that were showering him with cash. It was fantastic. He was just,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it was great. It was great. It was fun to
Yeah.
watch.
Guaranteed he showered with them super chats after that show.
I'll tell
He
you
showered.
what, him and Gary, forget about it. They're a great team when they're together.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
agree.
So good stuff tonight. Thanks for having me, bud.
Oh, no worries, man.
Yeah.
No worries. It was a good time, and we appreciate that.
For sure.
We do.
For sure.
I'm actually going to this weekend be starting on my speech for Denver. I haven't even started it yet.
Do you have a topic?
Yeah, I think so. They want me to speak on UFOs in the media.
Oh gosh,
So
it's so
that'll
easy.
be yeah. But you have to realize that the majority of these, put it this way, I went to I was invited to speak in Toronto a few years ago. Okay. And afterwards, now I'm the only person there who actually has a journalism background and an experiencer as well. On the panel for UFOs in the media, they actually had Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Sid Goldberg, and Randy Kramer. I lost out to Mr. Mars guy on a UFOs in the media panel, and Kramer made this offhanded comment about it where I was sitting by one of the organizers and I said, I'm out. And he looks at me and I said, you kidding me right now? I said, not to sound egotistical, but I'm the only journalist here who has newsroom experience, and you have Randy Kramer on the panel saying the bullshit that he's just saying up on that stage in front of 400 people right now. I said, yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah, that's great. I love every name that you dropped right there, by the way. All of those people are awesome. I love them all. So hey man, I have to say the best show that you're probably not watching, and Thomas, I dropped this on him tonight too, and he hasn't seen it yet, but your audience is perfect for this show, and it's so good and so funny, and you can binge watch it, and there's already 2 seasons of it. I'm pretty sure, unless you're awesome, you haven't been watching it, but maybe you're about to be awesome. And so here it is. It comes from TBS, but you can watch it with no commercials on Hulu. Tons of drop in there. But the name of the series is People of Earth. Has anyone seen it? I see your blank face. You would already be saying yes and high-fiving me over digitally if you'd been seeing it, because it is all about grays and lizard people and experiencers going to group, and it's a comedy, and this is our show. It's our show. So you guys must immediately after Spaced Out Radio tonight drop what you're doing and see People of Earth and watch all of them in succession, because it's so great. Funny stuff. That's it. That was my rant. So good.
I'm in for a sleepless hell until Thursday.
There you go. But
might give me
you should.
something.
It's so good. You can't stop. It's totally addictive. But you've got a really great subject to come and talk to everybody about, because it's what you do. UFOs in media. Forget about it. You're
So,
the right guy.
my focus on the conversation is going to be Dave's face is on those panties, Hallie. Oh yeah. I got boxers and panties with my face on them. All you got to do is go to the Spaced Out Radio store and get them today. But
Why would you make that?
what's that? Why did I make that?
Don't answer that. Okay.
I didn't make them. Oh yeah,
Just a fan.
don't you? Come on, Awesome and Palmer. You just can't be no. Get off my lawn.
Too much visuals. All right, that was fun
no.
stuff.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, I'm in Hell Week this week because my partner is gone on a business trip until Thursday. So,
oh man,
my little dude has decided, well, I'm gonna sleep on mom's side and dad's bed. Well, the problem is that little jerk. I have a king size bed, and for some reason, I only get about 7 inches of the bed, 8 inches of the bed to actually lay on.
Oh yeah, he's got the Jimmy legs. He's got the Jimmy legs there, and I'll tell you what. You know what I do? I put up a pillow barrier. That's what you need to do, is install a secure pillow wall. You got to trump it up in there. Build a wall, and you'll be fine. Keep those Jimmy legs on that side. Because I get kicked. I straight up get kicked. I've got 2 very little ones that like to share my king-size bed with my wife and I. And they're more than happy to just jump aboard, step on any part of your body to get there, and then just Jimmy leg you all night long. It's horrible. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, though. Oh, and now we have this dog, right? The puppy, and she wants in. Forget about it.
What kind of dog did you get?
Pomsky.
The hell's a Pomsky?
Imagine your nightmare with fur.
Oh no!
It's fantastic. No, she's great. Actually, she's wicked smart and adorable. But she is Pomeranian and husky. More husky, just the size of a Pomeranian, I guess. Really, she does everything a husky would do. She's a mini husky. Yeah, mini pocket husky.
Right now,
she's beautiful. But potential nightmare because she's a puppy and she's on hardwood floors, and so it's just like the Scooby-Doo thing where her feet spin in a circle. You can imagine it. She's high energy.
Yeah. Once my 2 dogs are gone, I hope it's not for a few more years, but once my 2 old fellers are done, I'm gonna be done with dogs for a little bit. Not that I don't love dogs. I love dogs. I love having a dog around, but I
need your independence. It's like having children.
I want to be able to go out for a weekend and not worry about the dogs, because the cats, they don't care.
That's
the
right.
Cats don't care.
They prefer it when you're gone.
Absolutely.
They're like, oh, we have the whole bed now. This is great.
Oh yeah.
Well, at least in my house, we have 2 cats as well.
I got 3.
Oh, there you go. So they're really in charge. I thought that this was my house. I just pay rent for my animals. It's pretty obvious. I'm definitely like way at the bottom of the totem pole here. My dog gets prescription dog food. Who would have thunk that?
Oh, look at that. Awesome man Palmer. I was referring to the show, Dave. Get off my friggin' lawn yourself, mister. That is awesome. Look at Ann Palmer just ripping me a new one right there. Get off your lawn. Oh, no.
She's yelling that. Those are all caps.
Oh, yeah. I'm not pissing off Awesome Ann Palmer, man.
That's right. Got to choose your battles.
I'll guarantee you she could kick my ass twice over.
Speaking of kicking things, is this what you do post-show? You just kick the ball around while you make edits and talk to your audience?
Yeah, usually. A lot of times our audience will actually have questions
Oh, I
about
see.
the show or other topics.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
I think
Yeah,
they're just listening to the
they're
to
just
the.
talking to each other. If anyone has any questions for Dave or myself, please put them all in caps. That's just I had to. I've never said
Exactly.
that before, right? Like and
You start,
subscribe.
you start paying attention to the chat room, you will
You got
notice that
yeah.
I downloaded this tennis game on my iPhone because I like playing tennis. Okay,
Mhm.
and I'll tell you, there is no way in hell the creators of that game
I
want
have ever played tennis.
anyone to succeed without paying.
Oh, I see.
I get
That's
so
really
many
cool.
pop-ups before I start about it's only $6.99 for this, $3.99 for this, $2.99 for this, $14.99 for this
Isn't that
pack.
horrible? It's the
You know,
worst thing about apps is their hand is out, all the time. And even if you pay for it, they sometimes brutalize you with more ads. That's just not fair. It's really
yeah,
just, yeah, it's more like torture. And it's
yeah,
almost like just pay them the money to stop the torture. And that's what they're counting on.
yeah. Like I mainly play my favorite game is this wolf game. Okay, it's called the Wolf Simulator, and I've been playing for a while,
You get
and I
to
don't play a lot,
be a
but
wolf. Okay.
basically what you end up doing is um, you end up being a wolf that goes and kills a bunch of other animals because you got to feed, right? And long story short, you can go and speed up and buy them and all this shit. You can buy up. I haven't bought a thing. I haven't spent a dime on it. But I go around and I collect my gems and I collect everything and I have a good time, you know. And then I'll get cranky, Dave. I'll get off my lawn, Dave. You know,
I don't know how you have time to play wolf simulator games, Dave. Shouldn't you be writing a speech? It
uh,
doesn't add up. Wolf simulator games. How do you, Dave Scott, have time for that? They
easy.
hooked you.
Well, you know what it is. The reason why I gave up speech writing. I gave up speech writing a couple years ago because even though I absolutely suck at PowerPoint, okay, I suck at PowerPoints. Like certain people put like animation and shit like that in there. Not
Yeah.
me. You're lucky if you get a
Oh
photo,
yeah.
and
Ooh,
you're lucky,
I like it.
you know.
It's called a paleo presentation. You go paleo style. Just the basics. You bring twigs and rocks. I love it, buddy. Just rub that shit together, man. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. I like
Oh,
the basics. Good for you. You should get you know what? Screw them. Bring an overhead projector and start drawing with the wax pencil and then have to erase it so it smudges and get a little lick and
very
wipe out.
nice.
Did you have the
Very,
teacher that did that with her spit on the thing? It was so gross and it would be magnified on the screen. I hated that. Sorry.
Mrs.
Anyways,
Miss Friedlinger. She had crooked fingers.
crooked fake. Oh man, down memory lane. I had a teacher that had a massive gap between her front teeth and whistled all the time while she talked. It was so distracting. And your notes would be all wrong because there would be so many S's in there. You'd be like, this doesn't make sense. Seriously, so many S's. It was rough. You can probably
Oh,
imagine.
drive me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. She was like my homeroom teacher and everything. It was horrible. So you dropped Sid Goldberg. How do you know the guy?
From
One of these
from
conventions?
Alien Cosmic Expo.
Okay.
My introduction to Sid Goldberg was walking up to a table where there was Sid, Tracy Dolan, Richard Dolan, somebody I didn't know, Randy Kramer, Travis Walton, 3 people I didn't know in front of them, and then an open seat right in front of Sid, Richard, and Tracy. And I walk up and I said, "Hey guys," because I'm one of the presenters. "Hey guys, how you guys doing?" And 15 minutes later, 10, 15 minutes later, because I started timing it, they didn't even acknowledge my presence.
Huh. I had the exact opposite experience with Sid. I was actually like in awe of him when I got to be around him and see him at work. He's just a really deep thinker, and he's had an amazing life experience and stuff. So, yeah, maybe you got a different side. It was also fewer people. There was just me and him, and
Yeah, totally
he's
wouldn't even have a
bummer.
conversation with me.
I get that. I could see how he could be busy or distracted, but I'll tell you what, if you ever get another chance, he's a swell guy. Super awesome.
Yeah. Tracy
guy.
came and apologized to me the next day.
She seems nice.
She is a great woman. But Sid and Richard, they just ignored me since. Don't care.
They were on another level potentially. I mean, I get it. Yeah, and conventions are super distracting too. There's like so much going on, and everyone kind of is meeting and getting. Or at least I've only been to one. I talk like I know what I'm talking about. At least that was my experience in the one. But yeah, man, Denver's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to it. And the it's so funny because it wasn't on my radar until you had brought it up, and now I found out a lot of people that I work around are going to be there. So
it's a big conference.
Yeah, and I know that the MUFON Washington, her name is Maureen Morgan. She's probably going to be there, and so that's going to be cool. We'll get to actually meet her in person. The person I reported to initially for my family's sighting, and to be honest, I can't say enough good things about the director of Washington State MUFON. I mean, she literally hand walked me through the process. And I know that people have mixed experiences with MUFON and feel like it's just an agency where you just report and then never hear anything back. That was my initial feeling because I didn't hear from them for 6 months initially. But once my case had been reviewed, I was really hand walked through my experience and interpreting a lot of the stuff I was going through as an after effect. And so very easy to talk to. And I can't say enough good things about the people that I've experienced through MUFON. Great group.
I've had, for the most part, very good experiences with MUFON. Hi, gorgeous Marlena. How are you? I will be very curious to see if Maureen actually speaks to me at the conference, because she actually came into Lynn Wallington's chat room one night and then private messaged Lynn about Lynn's home looking like a frat house, and that she should junk her old couch and should never put it on. Like, dude, it was right out of left field. Like, Lynn was like, who the hell is this lady? You know, like, I don't know.
That's interesting. Right. I mean,
yeah.
I film out of the room under my stairs. You couldn't get more Harry Potter than my life. So anyone want to cast some aspersions, please? This is my life. I spend hours in here.
I had a very good talk with Tom Whitmore about should your state directors be acting like this towards media members.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I know Maureen got a little bit of a warning letter because of it.
Oh, huh. I mean,
Well,
I've had, yeah.
man.
You say again?
I'm protecting my people.
Yeah, MUFON's a good thing. For sure. For sure. And if we can make it better with notes, hey, man, there's nothing wrong with giving notes. I take notes on my work all the time, and I change my work based on those notes, too. I think it's important to be able to take on constructive criticism. Hey, man, maybe she did need a nicer couch. I don't know. I mean, I could change these posters up once in a while. You put up a beautiful flag. Obviously, you smoke marijuana. You've got the marijuana leaf behind you. Is that what that is? I'm just kidding. I know it's a Canadian flag, buddy. He's giving me the Bigfoot fist. Do not get angry.
Question for you. Do you sing?
I played in a band for, oh man, a lot, 20 some years, lead guitar and vocals.
Will you sing with me for a moment?
Oh, my, right now, the end of my day, my third show of the day. I'm like 6 hours in.
You can do it. The reason why is no, it's Marlena's birthday.
Oh shit.
And it would only be nice.
Marlena, why would you have to go and have your birthday today? I just got here.
All right. Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marlena. Happy
birthday to you. There you go.
There you go. That's all you get.
Horrible.
Now get
Absolutely
off my
horrible.
phone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
0 years of voice training, believe it or not, folks, huh? I'm just kidding. It was horrible. But Tim man.
Tim and I will be playing at Caesar's Palace in July.
Promise not to sing happy birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be an exciting time. In fact, it has been quite a while since I have been to Las Vegas. And I'm excited to see what Groom Lake looks like. That'll be a lot of fun. At least from the air. At least fly around somewhere near it. We'll be flying at some point.
Well, it's going to look like the desert.
That's right. With a few aliens hitching a ride and some saucers kind of meandering. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I fully expect to have an ET experience, of course. I expect that. I paid for it. I want the tour. I want the ET tour where you get to high five an alien with residue. Yeah. I'm looking for the whole Area 51 experience. Perhaps I can fly a craft. I would feel like that would be worth my money.
Could be. Hey, it's little Davey Altman. There he is.
What is he doing up this late?
You kidding me? He's like a fucking vampire, this guy.
He's always up.
He's up until the sun rises. You know?
I need his expertise. Dave, come work on our show. Well, it's not a show, but you'll see.
Little Davey Altman.
Always busy, Dave. Why are you always busy? I bet Dave Altman's watching People of Earth. It's a great show. He's probably in love with that show. It's hilarious.
I'll bet you little Davey Altman, who, by the way, was getting ripped on another show earlier today.
What? Why?
I don't know.
How could you possibly?
Or maybe it was on the weekend, one of the two. One of those chatterboxes that just is always lipping people off. And
Doesn't make sense. That's like hating Elvis. I mean, it's way too cool for any of us. He's like a David Grohl cool. I mean, come on, you guys. Get with the program. We're honored to have him in our chat.
I will guarantee somewhere hanging on Dave Altman's bathroom, one of his bathroom walls, is a pair of leather pants autographed by Corey Feldman.
There definitely is.
Definitely. If I was in Dave Altman's position, I would have framed leather pants autographed by Corey Feldman.
And wear his bandana.
Oh,
also,
yeah. Where's the Lost Boys bandana, man?
For real. Feldman's awesome. His band actually rocks. Like, there's no reason not to go see that band if you have a chance and you're in LA.
He's got nice hair.
Feldman? Forget about it. Handsome.
He's always
wicked handsome.
Yeah. It's terrible.
And he still looks the same. How does he look the same as when he was a kid? He's so lucky. Oh my God. I mean, hello? What?
He still doesn't look like he's in his 50s.
No way does he look my age.
Years old.
Yeah, we're the same age, I think, even. But forget about, like I said, he hasn't aged since forever, ever.
Makes me wonder what happened to Altman. Because Altman looks about 75.
I think Corey Feldman has been wearing Dave Altman as a coat this whole time. So now underneath is young Corey Feldman still. He's been wearing Dave for protection. Sorry, Dave. That was a joke on your behalf. I apologize.
Oh, don't apologize.
Good genes, he says.
You see the shit he's thrown at me over the years? Love Altman.
I've seen a few things. Yeah, he's good people.
Altman's good people.
For sure.
Yeah. You know, for a guy who's actually thinner than Iggy Pop, like
he probably just eats like Twizzlers and that's it, and Coke, a cola.
I think between Twizzlers, vape, a strawberry vape or a cherry vape, and Twizzlers.
He has the life of a 16-year-old girl. Why are we busting his chops? Oh my God, he's gonna be so vengeful.
It's little Davey Altman.
Hopefully he's having a chuckle because
I hope he is too. It's all meant in love, Davey. It's all meant in love. Don't be jealous, fatty.
Is that what he said? Oh my gosh. That was literally just above the belt. Wow. Just above the belt. Nice shot. I love how you just kick the ball around like this after your show. Your audience is just, there's still 140 people in your audience, and they're like, yeah, we're going to stick around for the banter.
Oh, it's all good.
It should be. When I was...
One day, Altman, you'll be able to grow chin hair.
I did have a buddy that could only grow like mutton chops. It was the only place that he grew hair, like, and like a really thin mustache. And he was from Georgia, and I'm just gonna say he did have like the full, like, long hair in the back and really short in the front, and it was just like natural. He had the mullet and the whole look, and it didn't grow anywhere else on his face. I was like, wow, it's actually like from that part of the world. That's just how it goes. I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know.
I'm so tired.
I will guarantee Dave Altman still has a pair of 1985 Ikeda acid wash jeans in his closet.
I just can't let go.
And they still fit 30 or 7 years later. Guaranteed.
Oh, man, he's going to come back so hard on you.
Oh, yeah.
Ball busting. I love it.
Oh, he said, nope. Nope. They're there somewhere.
Yeah. That's great.
Oh, that's all good. I will tell, you know what? I will say this. I'll tell our listeners. Dave Altman and Tim, I know you'll back me up on this. Dave Altman is one of the best dudes in this field. He, he can throw the shit just as good as he can take it. And, I had the absolute pleasure of meeting him and Kevin Day back in 2020 at UFO Con in San Francisco. And Dave is really, really good people. Really good people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. He was like throwing me gigs from the moment we met. He's just been like, "Hey, do you want to do this? Are you interested in this?"
Never thrown me a gig. Never thrown me a gig. No.
Maybe don't bust his balls so hard.
Oh, that's why I started busting his ass.
Just kidding.
I said, "Hey, Dave, I need an agent." He goes, "What for?"
Oh, that is a burn.
He goes, "You're
That
fucking
is a burn.
Canadian." He goes, "What am I supposed to do with you? You're fucking Canadian."
Oh man, he's so right on the ball. I love
I'm
it.
like,
Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. So in college, believe it or not, I spent my evenings trying to earn money as a stand-up comedian, right? And so I cut my teeth at this place in upstate New York. I'm not going to mention the name right now, because you're going to know immediately where I was doing this. But believe it or not, I found a spiral with all of these jokes that I had written before I was married. And I can tell you, I would never tell those jokes now that I'm married. They were just so like from the perspective of single man, right? Opposed to a married man. There's certain things that you would just never say now, right? You know what I'm saying. Anyways, so I revamped a lot of the material to kind of fit with my life now, because I mean the best jokes are obviously founded around what's happening to you personally if you're trying to be a real comedian, which is textbook. I'm not saying that this is like what I did, but at some point, Dave, I'm gonna have to fire off some of my material and try it out on your audience. Because at some point, I'm gonna attempt going to another open mic and see if I can get my chops up again. There was a time that I thought I was funny.
no.
At least my wife still thinks I think that. She doesn't laugh at any of my jokes. That's why it's really hard to be funny in this house, apparently.
That's usually not a good sign, dude.
Yeah, she doesn't laugh at anything. And I'm like, maybe I'm not funny. Maybe it's me. But my kids get it. They laugh. I mean, a lot of it is toilet humor. I do stoop to any level to get a laugh out of an 8-year-old. But at some point, I'll try some of my fresher stuff on you. I mean, it's yeah. A lot of it is, being married and going bald and all of the typical turning 50 stuff. But
it's hard to believe you had hair at one point.
I know. And I do tell a joke about how the fact that I get asked how hard it was. Well, was it hard to lose your hair? And I'm like, I actually haven't lost my hair. I know exactly where it is. It's in a bag under my sink. And I've kept it since the 80s. And believe it or not, I still take it out and wear it at parties just to throw people off. And it is a true thing. I actually did have my hair in a bag for a long time.
What'd you do with it?
I took it out of the bag and put it on my head and wore it at parties. I mean, that's
hair into a wig.
Well, it just kind of was in a clump because it was a long, and we'd put it in a ponytail, and so we had that still held with the rubber band.
Oh my god!
And so it was just yeah.
So
yeah, well, and I would just flop it over. I would flop it over so it looked like I had hair. Creepy, yeah. But it was the joke. See, I'd do anything for a laugh. I'm desperate to make people like me. It's pathetic.
If you ever need a beard, I got a beard in here for you.
Dude, you've got one right there. Look at the piece you've got there. That looks so fake.
I got 5
how do you keep that on? Do you use glue for that, or what do you use? Because I need that look. That's a good look.
You know, I borrow some of Altman's Brill cream that he's got left over from the 80s, right?
You're gonna get in trouble. He's going to do something. You're gonna just like one day he's gonna spam you with a bunch of porn sites in the chat. I love it.
All right. Hey, everyone. It's that time of night where we're going to call it the night here. Tomorrow night on the show, Wartime Stories is going to be with us tomorrow night talking about spooky, spooky combat stories. Yeah, that's what we're talking tomorrow night. Spooky combat stories, real stories of that have been passed on to Wartime Stories YouTube channel of people who experienced the incredible while out on the battlefield. It's going to be a great show tomorrow night. Hi, gorgeous Jenny girl. The Quick, nice to see you.
She is. Thanks,
She
Jenny
says,
girl.
I think you're hilarious.
She was out there on Blind Frog Ranch with me. We actually were on the tour together. She's good
Right on.
people. Yeah. She's
Right
a
on.
geologist. Yeah.
Is she coming down to the MUFON Symposium too?
I think she said not, but hopefully she'll be at something else that I'm at. She's a really smart lady. Great to be around. We had a blast.
Very cool.
We found a crystal that had a perfect laser drilled hole right through the center of the crystal on the ranch. Bizarre.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing tomorrow night. I want to say a big thank you to D. Cohen, Simon, Dennis, Dry Toast, Cat Chaser, Bigfoot Rob, and Thomas Fessler from Disclosure Tonight for the awesome super chats. Thank you to everybody who gave us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways for tonight. Really appreciate it. Tim, thank you, buddy.
It's been fun. Let's do this again sometime.
Get the hell out of here.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.